You're listening to WZYE 95.9 FM. You are listening to WZYE 95.9 FM, the most influential name in Caribbean radio in the tri-state area. Broadcasting from East Orange, New Jersey, the most influential name in Caribbean radio. WZYE 95.9 FM.
They confuse us with so much life. Just come on. not even thinking that we would realize. And if we criticize, we could be ostracized. We don't know who to trust. That's why I say, Lord, please listen to this prayer that comes from before. Please send us another Moses again. Oh, we just can't go on this way. Please deliver us today. Time to make them oppress us stay. So the children could see their way. Make them get on their knees and pray. Then I'll be up to judgment day. Oh, just can't make it this way. Please deliver us today. Be like the Israelites did. Please send us another Moses again. Lord, we just can't make it this way. Yes, deliver us today. Oh, we just can't go on this way. No, we just can't make it this way. Please listen to what I say. Yes, hurry up with judgment day. We just can't make it this way. No, we just can't make it this way. Must we get old and gray? And the children can't see their way. Oh, we just can't make it this way. Oh, we just can't make it this way. We like the Israelites feeling dead. Please send us another Jesus again. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 Lord, we just can't go this way. Lord, we just can't make it this way. No, 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 we
She's going to be singing Plight of My People. Make some noise for Lady Gypsy.
No plight of my people. Too much a one thing good for nothing. Too much a good thing never enough. I don't know why my black people cannot see. No party never care about we. Every election we so devoted. How we love up we PNM. As soon as election come and go, it's only problem after problem. How could we cope? Man lost their hope. I ain't seeing no solution. Every time PNM come in power, it takes a toll on black man. I don't want to sound like a racist, but this is what I can see. They just take care of the race, but they damn well know they have we. I want to ring my bell, wake up Eric Williams. Tell him the party found him PNM needed immediate attention. Ring my bell, wake up Mother Cornhucks. Tell she to cast a spell on we party, 'cause it's not what it used to be. I ring my bell, I ring ring my bell down there. I ring my bell, ring my bell. I ring my bell down there. This thing is becoming out of hand. It's time this damn nonsense stop. If you don't sing a P&M song, from Skinner Park you'll be dropped. Calypsonian could have sing what they want. We were the spokesman for the people. Eric Duffy, Chambers Dunphy. When Kamala drunk, how she like to pee. Calypsonian, no, that's no way to go. Too much happening in we country. All this killing spree, young woman body, but only about P&M you could sing. All them songs playing on the radio, all you singing with Kamala do. But when P&M do a wrong thing, I ain't hearing a word from you. I want to ring my bell, wake up Mother Cosell. Every Monday she preach on Wack Radio and is the biggest critic of Calypso. Ring my bell for Patsy and Joni. I want them two cultural lovers to know not only P&M song is Calypso. I ring my bell, ring my bell. I ring my bell down there. I ring my bell, ring my bell. I ring my bell down there. Crime will never stop in this country once black people belly empty. How could a man work in CPEP maintain his whole family? All you say the past regime was so bad, so much wrong thing they done to we. Now that P&M take over, why poor people going hungry? When P&M win, all African grin. Now we get back we country. All they doing is complaining and ain't doing nothing for we. The mess already made, don't sit in the shade and ponder on we problem. Get off your ass and do it fast and find a way to solve them. I want to ring my bell, wake up Randolph Burrows. Tell him among all past police commissioners, up to now it's he I prefer. Ring my bell, wake up the Lord Bryna. Tell him the state of Calypso today is a good thing he passed away.
Get up one morning, your elders have something. You don't know how they get it, but you want to use it. But if you ask them old people to get the things what they went through, ask them this any day, and your parents sure to say, black man have to keep on jamming, for black man to get a little something. Make up your mind, brother, that you're able to get a pulley and jam with the devil wife. Black man have to keep on jamming, for black man to get a little something. Make up your mind, brother, that you're ready to swim offshore and hold your boat steady. Black man have to keep on jamming, for black man to get a little something. So when you hear you get a little something with that dragon, now you keep watching, because I don't tell you already. Black man will get nothing easy. You get up one morning, and oil money running. How it come you don't know, so that it care how the thing go. But if they read about Uriah, they wanna find out the pressure. How we get so much old hell to get a penny from TLL. Black man have to keep on jamming, for black man to get a little something. You got to take up your own cash money, pay people for your own refinery. Black man have to keep on jamming, for black man to get a little something. Make up your mind to be a a magician to make money out of scrap iron. Black man have to keep on jamming for black man to get a little something. So when you hear you get a little something, with that eagle eye you keep watching, because I don't tell you already, black man don't get nothing easy. So we got up one morning, independence happening, getting the thing come easy. Now they're taking liberty, but if they know about petition, we have to send to England for some woman to tell we in this colony free. Black man have to keep on jabbing, but black man to get a little something. You got to go to conference in England to get independence in your own land. Black man have to keep on jamming, for black man to get a little something. People hold you, humiliate you, turn on and sell you, and then they free you. Black man have to keep on jamming, for black man to get a little something. So when you hear you get a little something, with that dragon eye you keep watching, because I don't tell you already, black man don't get nothing easy. So when a black man gets something, he got to start thinking. You get it there easy. You got to practice economy. From getting licks from the slave master to become the landowner, brother, is a terrible journey. Back with plenty brutality. Black man have to keep on jamming, for black man to get a little something. You got to rise up, you got to stand up, pick up your mind, you will always stay on top. Black man have to keep on jamming, for black man to get a little something. You got to go to conference in England to get independence in your own land. Black man have to keep on jamming, for black man to get a little something. You got to take up your own cash money, pay people for your own refinery. Black man have to keep on jamming, for black man to get a little something. Make up your mind to be a magician, to make money out of scrap iron. Black man have to keep.
Keep me as the apple of thine eye. Hide me under the shadow of thy wing. O Lord, my Savior. It's so hard to deal with personal struggle. So sad when you feel alone in your trouble. It's real hard when you want to talk to a brother. It's so bad because of how some look at you after. So Jesus, cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Jesus, cover me. Cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Jesus, cover me. Cover my head. Satan want me dead. Cover my back from human attack. So Jesus, cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Jesus, cover me while you fix it. Jesus, cover me. People see you smile, but don't know the hurt that you're feeling. Even as God's child, at times your heart does be bleeding. Where can you go when you're really looking for healing? Who know how to flow when your soul needs some restoring? So Jesus, cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Jesus, cover me while you fix it. Jesus, cover me. Cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Jesus, cover me while you fix it. Jesus, cover me. Cover me home from evils unknown. Cover my feet so I'll never retreat. Oh Lord, cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Jesus, cover me while you fix it. Jesus, cover me. Cover my brother, cover my sister, Then who under pressure? Cover, 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 cover the preacher, every church worker, the young believer. Cover, 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 the worship leader and intercessor, every gospel minister. Cover, cover, cover. Jesus alone is the one who has the real answer. The one on the throne is the true and loving Father. He will hold your hand and keep you from going under. He will make you stand and let you know he's a fixer. Cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Jesus, cover me while you fix it. Jesus, cover me. Cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Jesus, cover me while you fix it. Jesus, cover me. Cover me, man. You know the struggle sometimes. Cover me mouth, that the wrong thing wouldn't come out. Oh Lord, cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Jesus, cover me. Cover the Christian in the midst of aggression with the power of your right hand. Jesus, cover, cover, cover them helpless children. Jesus, defend them. Send help from heaven. Jesus, cover, cover, cover all them radio stations that blessing the nation. Grant divine protection. Jesus, cover, 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 cover me, cover me, cover me.
Truer words were never spoken. The less you associate with some people, the more your life will improve. Anytime you tolerate mediocrity in others, it increases your mediocrity. An important attribute in successful people is their impatience with negative thinking and negative acting people. As you grow, your associates will change. Some of your friends will not want you to go on. They will want you to stay where they are. Friends that don't help you climb will want you to crawl. Your friends will stretch your vision or choke your dream. Those that don't increase you will eventually decrease you. Consider this. Never receive counsel from unproductive people. Never discuss your problems with someone incapable of contributing to the solution, because those who never succeed themselves are always first to tell you how. Not everyone has a right to speak into your life. You are certain to get the worst of the bargain when you exchange ideas with the wrong person. Don't follow anyone who's not going anywhere. With some people you spend an evening. With others, you invest it. Be careful where you stop to inquire for directions along the road of life. Wise is the person who fortifies his life with the right friendships. If you run with wolves, you will learn how to howl. But if you associate with eagles, you will learn how to soar to great heights. A mirror reflects a man's face, but what he is really like is shown by the kind of friends he chooses. The simple but true fact of life is that you become like those with whom you closely associate, for the good and the bad. Note, be not mistaken. This is applicable to family as well as friends. Yes, do love, appreciate, and be thankful for your family, for they will always be your family, no matter what. Just know that they are human first, and though they are family to you, they may be a friend to someone else and will fit somewhere in the criteria above. In prosperity, our friends know us. In adversity, we know our friends. Never make someone a priority when you are only an option for them. If you are going to achieve excellence in big things, you develop the habit in little matters. Excellence is not an exception. It is a prevailing attitude.
Let me say a special hello to all of WZYE 95.9 FM listeners. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, it's no other than individual the DAT Triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, we come to you every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. That's Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. And you know, we say it here in the village with the DAT Triplets and WZYE 95.9 FM. We originate, we don't imitate. We welcome each and every one. Doesn't matter what color t-shirt you have on. You have on a pink t-shirt, a purple t-shirt, a salmon t-shirt, a burgundy t-shirt. Each and every one is welcome in the village with the DAT Triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, doesn't matter what planet you're from Mazatanians, Venerians, Sonaranians. Each and every one is welcome in the village with the DAT Triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM. And you know, this is where we start.
It have our place, WZYE, where they treat you like friends and family. So if you're looking for a place to belong, going WZYE, you can come along. If you have haste, though, come with me. We do have DAT on WZYE, Santa Medite.
And of course, that is no other than the Love Doctor from right here in the village with the DAT Triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, you know, coming up at the top of the hour, we have political analysts. Some call them political analysts, some call them political scientists. Dr. Winford James will join us in the village with the DAT Triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM. And of course, I expect Tommy to join us a little later, as well as Diana going to join us at some point in time. But folks, I don't know if many of you have been paying attention to the World Track and Field Championship, where, let me talk about this first. As I started to talk about that, Trinidad and Tobago did not make one final in the World Track and Field Championships. I think that this World Track and Field Championship was one of the worst in the history for Trinidad and Tobago. The worst. We didn't even make a final. We came close in the men's 400 meter with Jereme Richards. It seemed like we are dependent on Jereme Richards. Jereme the Dream. Yes. We are dependent on him championship after championship after championship. Unfortunately, he picked up a little injury prior to this championships, and it just didn't go well for Trinidad and Tobago. I mean, I really don't know what is the solution to the problem in Trinidad and Tobago. I think I know, but they don't want to listen anyway, you know. And we can go back. If we go back, we can go back to the Carifta Games, and we can see the results in the Carifta Games, and it will tell you exactly what type of performance we will have at those bigger games. You remember back then, the former president of the Trinidad and Tobago Olympic Committee, Brian Lewis, said it was 10 for 10. Was it 10 gold medals or something like that until 2020 or something like that? Well, folks, we are nowhere close to that. Nowhere close. And just recently, we had Jamaica. Yes, Jamaica in Trinidad trying to help Trinidad and Tobago. I mean, it's not easy. The solution is very easy, you know. It's very easy. And here's the solution. Now, Trinidad and Tobago recently held the Commonwealth Youth Games, right? And they renovated the Hazy Crawford Stadium. Now, why does it take a youth games in Trinidad and Tobago in order for them to renovate the Hazy Crawford Stadium? Why? I mean, you have the Arima Velodrome, you have the Otto Boldon Stadium, you have Manny Ramjan, right? These are where Larry Gomes, and mind you, ladies and gentlemen, let me give you guys some information. Many of those facilities were put down during the hosting of this was quite a few years ago, the World Youth Cup. Yes, the youth soccer, right? We held the World Youth Championships. And many of these tracks were put down, but these are not running tracks. These are basically jogging tracks, right? Not suitable for running. And of course, they created other injuries. But you see, the government goes out and spend $500 million on a red house. They spend more millions on renovating the prime minister's residence, both in Trinidad and Tobago. They have spent so much money doing so many things except doing stuff to give the youth something to do. I've said this over and over. The government need to establish a recreation department in all 41 constituencies. And in this recreation departments, they will have all different types of sports, not only sports, but academic as well. And I've said this over and over. This is where the Laventil to Washington Empowerment Center could have been something splendiferous for, especially in the urban environment in Trinidad and Tobago, especially. But I guess when you look at it, the government of Trinidad and Tobago had other different priorities. It just seemed to me that the current government is more reactive rather than being proactive, right? So we go to our World Championships, we don't get to any finals. You just got to wait and hear what's the excuse. What's the reason why we didn't make any finals at the World Championships? But I wanted to play something here because the 100 and 200 meter champion, Noah Lyles, said something recently. And he said that the NBA is not a world champion. So the champion in the NBA is not the world championship as far as he is concerned. So let me see if I can get that video right here. And then I'll discuss that. Right. And you know, we're gonna get to some politics in Trinidad and Tobago. No, that's not there. Where did that go? Let me see if it go here. No, quick access. Then go there. Let me see if I get all files here. So I'm trying to get for you the video by Noah Lyles. Where did that video go? Okay. All right, folks. So let me look for that video. I thought I had put that video. Let me do something here. Okay, let me go back here. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Let me save this. So I'm getting for you the video that Noah Lyles had something to say with respect to the NBA, and he stated that the NBA are not true champions, true world champions, and I fully agree with him. The NBA cannot consider themselves as world champion. The World Track and Field Championships, those are true champions. Yes, those are true champions. So here we go. Let me see if I get it now. Let me go here. Let me go here. Here we go. So just before I do this, right, let me go, right? So we're going to deal with Noah Lyles. For all of you who like track and field, Noah Lyles talked about that at the World Championship, track and field athletes don't get a lot of recognition. And when you win a championship in the NBA, they call themselves world champions. And I agree with him. They are not world champions. And then, you know, other people say, well, they have people from all different countries. No, I'm going to give you the statistics on the amount of countries that participated in the World Championships and the amount of countries that participated in the NBA. So there's absolutely no way possible you can say that the champion of the NBA is a world champion. Absolutely not. And I agree with Noah Lyles 100%. He's totally accurate. And then, of course, Kevin Durant came out and made statements. You know, Perkins came out and made statement. You know, one NBA player come out and say he wanted to challenge him in a 200. He doesn't absolutely know what he's talking about, right? So we're gonna get to that as soon as this thing finish download. And I'm going to get to the chat and we're going to have a discussion tonight. And as I said at the top of the hour, we are going to have political analyst. All right, so we're going to keep that. Let me go to the chat, and then I'll come back to that. Okay. So Nadia, let me say welcome to Nadia. Of course, Nadia was first in the village. Yeah. Nadia say, Ansem, good night. You're early, boy. Yeah, Nadia, I'll be earlier today. By the way, school start this semester. So, you know, Tuesday and Thursdays, you guys will be seeing me in a suit. Yeah. She says good night to Tommy. Yeah. She said good night to Takesha, Judy, Lana, Rose, Capiza. I heard that Takesha's mother passed. I don't know if that's accurate, but guys, can you let me know if that's accurate? That's what I heard. Albert, good night. Rennie, Mohammed, Vonnie, Ken, John, Troy, Ellis. Oh, yes, we got some rain today. Place was really hot. Yeah. Yeah, Nadia, good afternoon to you. Vonnie says, good afternoon. Good evening, Nadia. How are you, my dear? How was your day? Trust all is well and enjoyable. Keep the fit. Hi to Keisha, Joan, Hailey. Hope my ladies have been well and enjoying. God blessings. Prasad, welcome. Vonnie, welcome. Prasad, good night to you. Mean Jean, good night to you as well. Good evening, WZYE. My Chuma Kenyan friend, Curtis Montrachad, good evening to you. Yeah, Mean Jean, we're going to correct, we're going to discuss that. Lyles is correct. The same applies to baseball. Absolutely. He's 100% correct. Vonnie says, can anyone know or say where Dr. Rowley is? I don't know. I don't know, boy. Richard Ramroop, welcome. Trinidad Margot, good night to you. Albert, good night to you as well. And Albert says, good evening, Nadia. So, folks, we are going to get to some politics that's happening in Trinidad. And, well, let me get to this first before I get to the to Noah, right? What's going on is that we have had Marsha Walker coming out and make a statement regarding Mrs. Kamala Prasad-Busesa. All right. And I guess a lot of people are somewhat upset with Marsha Walker because Marsha Walker came out and said, it is time for Mrs. Kamala Prasad-Busesa to step down as political leader of the UNC. Right. And folks, Marsha, you know what? Let me see if I could call Marsha Walker. Hold on, let me do this. Let me see if Marsha Walker will pick up the phone. So you guys know we do it here in the village. We just call people. I don't know if she's gonna talk, but we'll see what it is. Let me see if I have Marsha Walker number. Marsha, Marsha, Mars. No, Walker. Do I have this number? Here we go. Here we go. All right, let's try Marsha Walker. So, folks, we call it Marsha Walker. So it's not ringing yet, but it's calling. So if you just joined us, we are calling Marsha Walker. There's a little controversy with Marsha Walker indicating that she believes it's time for Kamala Prasad-Busesa to step down as leader of the party. You know? Vonnie Roberts, you are a supporter of the UNC. Do you agree with Marsha Walker, Vonnie Roberts? There are many who agree silently with Marsha Walker. Silently. As there are many who are silently agree with that Dr. Keith Christopher should step down as political leader of the PNM anyway. Look, it's very simple. If you look at the results from the recent local government election, you will see that both political leaders. All right, so Marshall Walker didn't answer. We try her back later. So if you look at the recent local government elections, where the PNM got 20% less votes than in 2019, and the UNC got 15% less votes than 2019. In 2019, the PNM received 162,801 votes. In 2023, they received 130,868 votes, 20% less, or 31,933 less votes. The UNC received 203,868 in 2019. In 2023, they received 173,961 votes, 15%, or 29,907 less votes. So when you look at these numbers, folks, it tells us, based on the statistics, that it's time for the two political leaders to go. And many people are just fed up with the leader of the RPNM and Kamala Prasad-Bissessar. You may not like that fact. So in my estimation, Marshall Walker has a very, very valid point. The only difference is that Marshall Walker have publicly stated that Kamala Prasad-Bissessar should step down as the leader of the UNC. And there are many others in the PNM, yes, many others in the PNM who feel the same way about the leader, Dr. Keith Rowley, but many of them are afraid to say it publicly. You know why? Victimization. Yeah, they don't want victimization, right? And sometimes you can't blame them, because if you do say things publicly, you will be victimized. You will be demonized. I call it, it's the D's. You will be dismissed, destroyed, and demonized, as well as discredited. The 4 D's: demonized, dismissed, destroyed, and discredited. The 4 D's, easily implemented. And it's my estimation that Marshall Walker is basically done in the UNC under Kamala Prasad-Bissessar. Marshall Walker is done. Finishito. Over with. Cancel Christmas. It's over for Marshall Walker. You know why? Because you have to toe the line. You have to toe the political line. You cannot. You could. Yes, you could. But you cannot publicly call for the leader to go. Right? Publicly. Even though you want what's best for the party, they will victimize you and demonize you. So I could see Marshall Walker. It's all over for Marshall Walker. It's over. Right? Let's try again. It's over for her. It's really over. Or he says, no audio or video. Okay. What do you mean, Mean Gene? Audio is coming out fine. Audio is fine. Yes, audio is fine. Mean Gene, what do you mean by no audio or video? Yeah, so I believe that Marshall Walker and Vonnie, why are you silent, Vonnie? Do you agree with Marshall Walker that your political leader, Kamala Prasad-Bissessar, should step down? Right? And Hailey, we're gonna come to you too, eh? We have a statement from a gentleman. I don't know if he was part of PEP, but he didn't have a lot of good things to say about your political leader, Hailey. All right, because I just talk about the PNM political leader. I have said the RPNM needs to go. Me afraid to say that, right? But look at the UNC, their political leader, right? So, folks, I'm calling Marshall Walker. I'm trying to call her. No answer. Oh, the phone is ringing now. Let's see if she picks up. Okay. So I tried, folks. I tried calling Marsha Walker. We wanted to talk to her about that. She seems to be in the political cemetery as far as the UNC is concerned. And you see, that's part of the problem in Trinidad and Tobago with politics, right? If you are going to call, if you are going to say anything factually negative about your party, cancel Christmas. They put you in the doghouse. You're going to the doghouse. And the only way you can get out of that doghouse is once that political leader leaves that party. But once that political leader is in that party, you are finished. You finish. You're done. Yeah? All right. So Hailey says, everybody can say whatever you know, Anselm, but the thing that matters is the truth, God's truth. So Hailey explained that to us. I understand what you're trying to say, but what exactly does that mean? Does that mean that people know that Kamala Prasad Bissessa should step down? Does it have any God truth in that? All right. I'm a little off on that one, Hailey. So yes. Yep. Richard. For an example, right? It's facts that I have factually talked about. Talked about. Why is it that in the last 8 years, the amount of black people living below the poverty line have increased? It's 26.3%, as opposed to other race, where you have the Indians only 12 point something percent, and other mixed race, which is less than 10%. When you ask those questions, I think people go say, you hate Dr. Rowley or you hate the PNM. No, the party to do right, especially by the people who support it. And that's what it is, right? And when we look at the statistics, and I only like to deal with facts. I don't like to deal with hearsay and them say and they say, right? When you look at the facts, predominantly black people vote for the PNM, and predominantly Indian people vote for the UNC. That's just how it is, right? And that's their base of voters. Right? But under the PNM, it appears that black people fear worse. No facts about that. It appears, right? And many people will tell you, yeah, that's true. While under the UNC, it appears that black people fear better under the UNC. But due to race, most black people will rather suffer under a black prime minister. That's what it is. Let me repeat that. Most black people will rather suffer under a black man because he's black. That's what it is. Plain talk, bad manners. You rather suffer under a man because he look like you? You rather suffer under him? Look. And that's part of the problem we have in Trinidad and Tobago, right? We ain't talking about policies, you know. Look, the local election finished, right? What are we talking about? What happened to local government reform? What happened to that? What happened to that? That done already? I ain't hear nothing about local government reform in the last 2 weeks. What's going on with that? Eh? What do you mean no, Richard? I don't understand that. No Wall Street. What do you mean no? No to what? No to what that predominantly black people vote for the PNM and predominantly Indian people vote for the UNC? That's not race, that's facts. That's just the way it is. And until we get past that, where we voting based on race, right, we will continue to spiral downwards in Trinidad and Tobago. Right? Eileen says what? UNC voters, the same people who vote for PNM Anthem, they're all Trinbagonians. There's no Indian or black unless you're a foreigner. All right. So let me show you these statistics. And as I tell you, you know, look these statistics here. Okay. These are the statistics for the 2020 election. Look it up there. Once again, voting is clearly heavily influenced by race. In 2020, how would you vote in 2020? In the PNM, 61% of Afro-Trinidadians said they will vote for the PNM. 7% of Indo-Trinidadians said they will vote for the PNM. For the UNC, 5% of Afro-Trinidadians said they will vote for the UNC. And 54% of Indo-Trinidadians said they will vote for the UNC. What's that? What is that? What is that? And Richard, I want people to wake up. I want people to vote based on policy. That's what I want people to vote on. Right? I want people to vote on policy of the country, not because you consider the PNM of a black leader and you black, you go vote for him, or the UNC of an Indian leader because she Indian and you Indian, you go vote for her. Nah. Time for us to get out of that. Vote based on policy. Whichever party has the best policy for the country, that's what we should be voting on. We shouldn't be voting blindly. And you know what we had to stop to? We had to stop using them CPEP people for the party in power to go to them political meetings. We had to stop that. And the people could stop that, you know. Because you know, if them CPEP workers try to stop that, they're going to be victimized. And they're going to be docked a day's work if they don't go to that rally. Both sides of the coin, eh? Yeah? Ali says what? Anselm, black is not a race. 100 meters is a race. All right. Yeah? All right. Yeah, we go talk about that. We go talk about the situation with race just now in the World Championships and the comparison to the NBA, in that the NBA is not a World Championships. I don't know how they could say the NBA is a World Championships. Where that World Championships? You know what? Let me talk about that before our next guest comes in. I want you all to listen to this. Listen to this, right? Let me go down here. Listen to this. This is Noah Lyles, the winner of the 100 and 200 and the 4x100 meters in a press conference.
Brian Pinelli, the Team USA, congratulations, Noah. Great stuff out there today. Kind of building on that last answer, you've also said that the medals are obviously important, but they're also a stepping stone, a catalyst to doing more for the sport. Yeah. Not just personally, but for the sport itself. Can you be a little more specific about what you would like to see happen in the sport? What can improve, and what can you do to help foster that change?
I don't think we got 3 hours to talk about that. Let's just say it is a conversation every day that I have with my agent on how we're going to better this sport. But to go back to the beginning of your question, yes, the medals are first, because if you don't have the medals, then who's going to want to pay attention to you? And then after you get the medals, then you get the times, and then, more and more people gain interest, and now you start being able to go after into different directions. Of course, you can go into the nails, you can go into hair, you can go into fashion, you can go into music, you can start collaborating with other people, you can start getting, meeting bigger and bigger athletes, and then from athletes you go to artists, and from artists you just go to the world, and now you have connections, and everybody's just like, oh wow, he knows him or her, and they all are connected. It's just like, you want to, as I look around this World Championships, I don't see Bo, I don't see Asava, I don't even see Johan. He's still running. Where are all these great champions as we look at them and we're walking through the tunnel at all these previous world champions? Why are they not here? Why are we not inviting top level athletes to come watch a world championship? The thing that hurts me the most is that I have to watch the NBA finals and they have world champion on their head. World champion of what? The United States? Don't get me wrong. I love the U.S. at times. But that ain't the world. That is not the world. We are the world. We have almost every country out here fighting, thriving, putting on their flag to show that they are represented. There ain't no flags in the NBA. We gotta do more. We gotta be presented to the world.
Thank you.
The thing that hurts me the most.
Folks, there you have it, right? This is Noah Lyles, the winner of the 100 and 200 at the World Championships, talking about the NBA calling themselves World Championships, World Champions. And Noah Lyles is absolutely 100% correct, all right? Now, for many of you who don't know, currently we have the FIBA World Championships, right? The FIBA, F-I-B-A, the FIBA World Championship currently ongoing now in the Philippines, right? Let me get that for you. Yes, the Philippines. We have the FIBA World Championship going on right now as we speak. And who is in that World Championships? No other than the United States of America. Yes, the United States of America. There's actually 40 teams. Think about this. This is why Noah is so on the ball with this. There's currently 40 teams in the FIBA World Championship right now, including the United States of America. That is a World Championship. Yes, that is a World Championship. Let me go on quickly, right? So you have 40 teams in the FIBA World Championships with the United States, right? Yeah. Now, think about this. We had the 2023 World Baseball Classic. Yes, 2023 World Baseball Classic. And in that one, you had about 32 teams. No, my bad. You had 20 teams in that. 20 teams from across the world, right? Colombia, Cuba, Dominican Republic, Mexico, Puerto Rico, United States, Venezuela, Panama, Nicaragua, China, and so on. And you know who won that? Japan won that World Series or World Baseball Classic. That is a World Series. So there you go. Do you want me to go further? Yeah, I'm going to go further. Of course, I'm going to go further. Right. Now, think about this. The 2023 World Athletic Championships, which was recently held in Budapest, there was more than 2,000 athletes from 202 countries. Let me repeat that. Let me repeat that for you guys. The 2023 World Athletic Championships, which was held in Budapest, Hungary, from August 19th to the 27th, there was 2,000 athletes from 202 countries. Yes, yes. And what? So let's talk about the NBA, right? Listen to the NBA. The NBA has 30 teams. Each team has 15 players on their roster, right? So there's about a total of 450 players. And yes, there are players from different countries all across the world. It's not a world championships. It could never be a world championships. Never be a world championship. Let's go on. We just had the FIFA Women's World Cup. That's another world championships. 32 teams from across the world. Many teams had to qualify to get to be one of those last 32 teams. That's the world championships, right? Let me go on even further, right? We have the men's FIFA World Cup that was held in 2022 in Qatar. There was 32 teams there, and many, many other countries had to qualify in order to get into that World Cup. So when you hear these sports analysts who don't even cover track and field talking about Noah Lyles is talking garbage, Noah, you are 100% correct. The NBA is not a world champion. I don't care what countries the players come from, right? They're not world champions. They're not a world champion. Baseball, they call it the World Series. The only thing that baseball has is a team from Canada. And they have all these other players. And when there was a World Series of baseball, Japan won it. So think about it. take the best team out of the NBA. There's a possibility one of them countries might be the NBA. You never know. Yeah, they might. So, folks, let's go for a quick station identification. It's in the village with the DAT Triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM. Stick and stay. We'll be right back after this short message.
You're listening to WZYE 95.9 FM. You are listening to WZYE LP 95.9 FM, the most influential name in Caribbean radio in the tri-state area. Broadcasting from East Orange, New Jersey, the most influential name in Caribbean radio, WZYE 95.9 FM.
We are back with you. It's in the village with the DAT Triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM. We come to every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. That's Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. Let me welcome the one and only, the Commissioner of Newark, my friend, your friend, the man from Marabella, by way of Palaseco Government Secondary School, by way of Salibe, no other than the one and only Thomas E. Marshall Nisbet Boy. Tommy, welcome.
Good evening, and it's a pleasure being in the village. I'm sorry, Let me apologize for being a little tardy today, but I couldn't help it. Anyway, I'm happy to be here, and I was happy to hear your prior conversation, which is so needed.
Which one?
About World Series and World Championship.
Yeah, Tommy, you know, we here in America, we just like to put up these nice big words, right? And for example, look at Heidi. Yeah, what Heidi talking about? The NBA players just make more money. That's not what it's about, man. It's about the World Series. You go to the World Championships. There's 2,000 athletes, right? And every country in the world have an opportunity to send someone to the World Championships.
Yeah. Well,
which country? And listen, not all the best players are in the NBA, you know. There's a lot of players in Europe who don't want to go to the NBA. They don't want to go to the NBA. So what if the NBA is worldwide? That don't mean nothing. Track and field is worldwide too.
Anyway, there was a song that they made years ago in an effort to aid Africa, which said we are the world, and they really believed it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but Hailey, the point is not who makes more money. That's not the point. We're not arguing that point. The point is the Noah Lai said that the NBA championship is not a world championship, and he's absolutely correct. He's 100% correct. Right? Listen, when you go to a meet in Europe, it does have players does have runners from all different countries.
Correct.
When there's a big meet in Europe, they have runners from all different countries. They don't call that a world championships. They don't call that a world championships.
Yeah, it's truly a misnomer to call a local game a world championship.
Yeah. And so the LA Lakers wins, or Denver wins. Did Denver win the world championships?
No, they win the NBA.
They win the NBA championship. Look, there's a FIBA World Championship right now going on in the Philippines. That is a world championship. And as a matter of fact, the US is in that too. There's 40 countries. So the man was Noah Lyles was on the ball. And these commentators here in the United States who are absolutely clueless about track and field, right? Wanted to take him to task and say, well, you know, the NBA are the best players in the world. The man didn't say that. It's just not a world championship. Simple. And many people agree with Noah Lyles that the NBA championship is not a world championship. Right?
And there's no way to really verify that they have the best players in the world.
No way to verify that.
Unless there is a World Series or world.
And Hailey, you're running around the mulberry bush. Eh? There's more NBA jerseys sold around the world than any other sport. So what? Does that make it a world championship? No, it doesn't.
You can market that. Marketing
Of
can
course,
do that.
NBA have a splendiferous marketing machine. Listen, and Hailey, that is absolutely incorrect. NBA Finals is one of the biggest and the best. The World Cup soccer.
It's the biggest sporting event in the entire earth.
There we go. Yes. All right. So let's bring in Diana. Diana, welcome. How are you?
Hi guys. Hi guys.
Hey, Storm.
Everybody good? Everybody good?
Yeah.
So far, so good. How are you?
Yeah.
The what?
Let me bring in our guest.
Right there.
How expensive?
I said I dare, I ain't dare.
Okay.
Are you guys reached out to anybody yet?
What do you mean?
And I talk about this morning.
No, I didn't reach out to anybody. So let me bring in. Hold on,
Our guest.
Yeah, our guest. Somehow, let me bring in our guest first. Hello, Dr. Winford James. Welcome to In the Village to the DAT Triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM. Of course, we have Tommy and Diana with us. How are you doing?
I am strong and good, Anselm. How are you?
I am fantabulous, splendiferous, marvelous, tremendiferous, splentastic, and spectacular.
This is despite the troubles of the world, isn't it?
In spite of the troubles, I agree with you 100%.
And what troubles we have in the world, Dr. James?
Yeah, we have all kinds of troubles. We have monumental losses in Ukraine. We have problems in the Niger and Burkina Faso. We have problems across the world where poverty is concerned. There are many people living below the margin of poverty.
26% in Trinidad.
26% in a country like Trinidad.
You know, Dr. James, it's interesting that you say that because I have been making that statement now for quite some time, right? And the PNM people, boy, they and it is sad, Dr. James. There's a quote that says, "If you think education is expensive, try ignorance."
Right.
I mean, I don't like to go wrong into that depth with them, you know. But sometimes you have to go into the belly of the beast, you know.
Yeah.
And Ansel made me an extempo singer. They jump on me for the facts I listed in my song.
Yes, I listened to your song.
So Dr. James, why is it that, and we're going to get to the substantive discussion tonight, why is it that when you put facts on the table, especially a fact like 26% of black people living below the poverty line, under a government that has a black prime minister, people find that to be difficult? Why do you think that is?
Oh, there are all kinds of reasons to explain that, you know. One can't be sure of which reason is the correct one, except one does the right kind of research. But it is clear that many Trinidadians are undereducated. They are not educated to understand the value of facts and the value of facts to quality of life. You know, so it's a lot of emotionalism, a lot of religiosity, but very little in the way of what do the facts say and what does analysis of the facts say. Lots of people in Trinidad are clueless, but they are going to fight you down if you stand on that kind of basis. And they have the alternative that they present to anybody is not good at all. It's unsuitable. So there is a tradition here where you believe in your culture regardless of what the culture says. You believe in your party regardless of what the party says. And you ignore the benefits of proper education to the understanding of life, to the development of a good quality of life. And that is the case. It's not only Trinidad and Tobago, by the way, but it is, we know the country, so we can say very easily that this country is not real in that sense. You know, people talk about, is this a real place? Well, you know, I join it only to say that it is time that people in Trinidad and Tobago pay more attention to research, pay more attention to facts, pay more attention to reality, and use their brains to analyze what is there and move on to a better life every day we live.
Dr. James, can we say miseducated?
Yes, that's another word we can use.
Yeah, because we have many overeducated with misinformation.
Yeah.
Brainwash.
Yes, you must try, Anselm, to interrogate some of your guests with respect to what they hold as facts in this country. Do it respectfully, but you must do that.
From time to
Ask
time, we
them how
do.
they arrive
Dr.
at
James,
those facts.
Dr. James, we just do that, you know, but we just get cost.
Yeah.
But
Just
I suppose
cost
it's a risk you
we
must
meet
run because
5-year-olds. They just tell me all kind of thing.
yeah, but I suppose is, you know, this is a risk you must run. It's a price you must pay.
Yes, I agree with
But the way I am suggesting is clearly superior to faith-based positions. It's clearly superior to the kind of politics that is being offered to the people as an alternative to the holding of important information for the improvement in the quality of our lives.
Mr. James, someone said to adjust your camera. You adjust your camera a little bit so we could see you straight up.
Like this?
Yeah, that's right there.
That is too high?
Yeah, that's too high. Bring it down a little. Bring it down. Bring it down. All right, keep it right there. Right there is good.
Excellent.
Right there is good.
Maybe I was too close to the phone. It's the phone I'm using because my laptop, the what you call it, the browser on my laptop was disallowed on your link.
Oh, okay. No, you got to bring it up a little more now. Up a little more. All right. Yeah, that's good right there. Right there. Right there is perfect.
I have to hold the phone throughout this interview.
Oh, no. We don't want you to hold the phone, man.
Well, if I put it on
some books or something.
Well, no, I don't have the book. I don't have.
Yeah, you could improvise, man. Get a little book or something now, man. We go wait.
All right. You go wait.
You to relax.
Yeah, get a book or something, or we go improvise.
How is that one?
All right, let me see now. Hold on. Up a little more. Up a little more. All right, right there. No, you went up too much. Go down a little more. No, you're going up. All right, right there. Right there, good.
Oh, Lord.
What I will have to do is hold it and slam. That's all right.
Okay, all right there is good. Go ahead. And Dr. James is a person from Tobago who said that, eh? I follow him, Gene. Yeah, he's from Tobago. He said, tell Dr. James to adjust his camera. I said, all right, if I Tobagonian tell him
that's good, yeah.
I could tell a Tobagonian that.
I am not an unruly person, you know. I mean, it's a good advice. I will follow it as best as I can in the interest of good reception on the part of those who are watching.
So we were saying, what was the comment, Tommy? You had a statement that you made, Tommy?
No, we were talking about the
I think Tommy said he likes the term miseducated.
Right, correct.
I think that's one of the things he said. But I didn't hear how he went on to deepen that comment.
But Dr. James, it's not just miseducation, but when we look at the SCA result, there is about 42% of people in the country scoring below 50%. Yeah. I would like to know what is the makeup of that 42%.
Right. So you need to bring on the Minister of Education, but it's quite a lot of people who are falling below 50. There are a lot of people. And then Trinidad has this idea of good school versus bad school.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they have this idea. There are some school. Never mind that the teachers are
You're moving up
trained
the
by the
camera. You're
same.
moving up the camera. Don't move it up. You're going up. You're going up. There we go. Yes, there, right there.
Yes, is
Yeah,
that there?
yeah, right. That's good there.
Apparently, emotion causes my head to lift.
That's a good thing.
Hey, Dr. James, you have such a splendiferous way with words.
But
Oh,
Dr. James,
And you have a love affair with that word, splendiferous.
yes, 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 yes.
Yeah, no,
That's my splendiferous word. My
not a love
splendiferous
affair. They're married.
The married.
Yeah,
but Dr. James, staying
Listen,
on,
you must love something, you know, man. So
correct.
let Leland them alone, boy.
right.
Like your word and tell people you like them. There are plenty other words, you know.
I know.
And anything with a fabulous and splendid. Oh, Lord,
Fantabulous.
Father. Woo.
Dr.
Tommy, go ahead,
Bishop.
Tommy. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Tommy.
but Dr. James, talking about our education and the way it's structured, the focus has to be on the curriculum and standardized curriculums as opposed to good school and bad school.
Well, a good curriculum has to be part of what the school is about. But remember that there's a national curriculum which all schools follow. I mean, there might be differences from school to school with respect to implementation, but there's a national curriculum, and all schools, including the good schools, and the good schools usually are the religious schools, not the government schools. It is schools like Lakshmi Girls. It is schools like those schools that are Catholic. It is schools like those, the Presbyterians and so on, right? So they have that, and they have a tradition, and they have been using that tradition to good purpose where they are concerned. Remember that there's also the what you call that agreement between the church,
The Concordat.
Concordat, and so on, and that has been there for a long time. Now this is a very complex issue in one sense, and in the other sense, it's a very simple issue. Why is it government must spend money on schools, on teachers, and so on, and every year the government schools are doing poorly? Every year. Why must that be? Why must it be that children from a certain area, geographical area in
Bring
the
down the
country,
camera a little bit. Bring down the camera a little bit.
yes,
Yeah.
children from particular geographical parts of the country are the ones who do poorly. And we live with that all the time. And of course, this kind of performance has consequences for how they move on to secondary school and then to tertiary school, you know. Lots of people,
But
lots of poor people in the low social classes, which includes poor Indians and poor Africans, right? Not the others, not the 1%ers or so. Why is it that we have those people not graduating with the kinds of skills and the kinds of knowledge that they ought to the other people graduate with? Why is it that very few of the poorer families have science in the way they are trained? Mathematics, they're very weak in science and mathematics, right? And when they get up to Form 6, there are very few schools that do maths and science at the advanced levels, at the CAPE levels in this country. Now, I don't know how you guys can sit back and accept a state of affairs where so many people are misperforming, underperforming, and we continue to support the government that can do something about it, but does not. You follow? So you need good schools, but you need an overall standard which must determine what a good school is. You follow? But I mean, we're talking about our kids, we're talking about our grandkids, you know. We're talking
Mm,
about what they are going to do um, when they become adults.
mhm.
You know, this is an alarming thing, you know. I am
Could it be
very unhappy. Mhm.
could it be a personal commitment and issue and discipline? Because Dr. James, I am a product of bad school and good school. I went to a junior secondary. That's a long story, and I ended up at St. Augustine Girls High. So and then with my background, Anselm tends to call me an outlier. But sometimes could it be a personal responsibility for yourself? And you said, you know what, I need to, I have to be able to cope in the world. I need a job. I need to be disciplined. I need to study my work. Could it be, can we put the blame on them and say, well, a personal issue? You have to take responsibility
Well,
for yourself, your household, your children.
oh, that's why I said it's also a complex system.
Mhm.
There's a complexity with respect to the causation of what we are
Mhm.
talking, what causes what we are talking about. Now, of course, parents have to have responsibility for their children, but you don't blame parents the levels, the levels of failure that we witness perennially in this country. Because if you did, what you'd be saying is that we really don't need the government to build schools and so on. There's a role the government has in all of this, you know. There's a role that parents have as well. And as parents, we have responsibilities. We have to explore what parents are not doing or are doing that is not good for the children. And why is it some households do far better than others? This is where the thing becomes very, very complex. But I have no doubt the children are born, most of them. The ordinary kids are born with a lot of intelligence. Children are born with abilities all over the place,
Mhm.
across households. Yeah. And yet when you start distributing them into schools and when they do the exams, you begin to see distinctions. Where did this brilliance that we saw when they were babies, when they were toddlers, where has that brilliance disappeared to? You follow what I'm trying to say here? Now, so while there is a role for parents to be responsible in the way they bring up their children, it is not sufficient to rely on that, on their commission of their role, to talk about failure and underperformance of so many people. Angela mentioned 42%. I haven't seen the stats for this year. So we've got to rise up and demand that there is an attention to the curriculum that is available in the church schools, but not as much as in the government schools. We've got to stand up and demand equality of access to good
Mhm.
education. We've got to do that. We can't just watch our kids going to school, doing badly, emerging from school with hardly any qualification, hardly any knowledge, certainly no certification, and then going into occupations that are dangerous for themselves and for the adults that have produced them. That can't go on. Yeah, and I don't think it's natural in that sense. It cannot be natural for bright little people to suddenly lose their brilliance when they go to particular kinds of schools. It cannot be right. So I
And
am. Hmm.
can this failure rate, Angela mentioned, can we attest it or blame the pandemic for the continual the tentacles you're seeing where the fallout of children failing,
But
technology.
how could you just blame the 42%? I would like to know the makeup of that 42%, because if that 42%, if 35% of that 42% is of a special hue, so to speak, or of a hue, then we have a problem. Earth to Houston, we have a problem. And let me give you an example.
A big problem, man.
Yeah, we have a problem. Mova Laventil Secondary School, Dr. James, haven't had a football field for 10 years now. They were growing weed on the football field. And I recommend to anybody, if you need to get weed, go up in Mova Laventil Secondary, and I will pay for you to get free weed. Right? So I made a Facebook post asking the government to go up there and cut the grass. They went up there and cut the grass. So listen, all these years, people going through Mova Laventil Secondary School without any recreation activities.
Yeah.
No basketball court. And you know what I'm going to say? The parents going to get blamed for that too, because the parents will say, well, the parents didn't stand up. They didn't go and talk to the minister. They didn't do this, they do that. But we have teachers.
To stand up, because
we
if
have
you have
principals.
a good alumni situation, if you have past students who are contributing to the school, to the uplift of the school, that helps, in areas where students do well. They have a strong PT, they have a strong alumni situation. There's a lot of parents that drift to the school to get the infrastructure going, yes? And that kind of thing is not available to the extent in the poorer situations. You follow? And it's not enough, by the way. So there are good things going on in the other schools. Don't mistake what I am saying.
But Dr. James, it's not most of the schools in the urban areas. It's not most of the schools in the urban areas.
What are you regarding as urban?
Like Mova Laventil. Urban.
Well, I'm saying this has been going on perennially. And these are the people, I understand, that have been supporting the PNM for years.
Dr. James, I think you come tonight to get me vexed, because
listen, I'm just stating the fact. I'm a fella. I don't run from facts,
But listen to this,
right? I have to have the fact to do something about the facts. I have to do something about the situation when I have the facts, right? But correct. I know when I look at little children, I know that they are bright. I know that they come with skills. They come with orientations, where the things that they are interested in. I also know that the system we have here for placing them in high schools is a system that is, shall we say, is based on grammar, it's based on language, it's based on the grammatical model. The England used to have it. I think they still do. Yeah, and the curriculum does not focus on the other skills that children bring to the process of learning. This is the point I'm making. We need more than one track of education. We need at least 2 tracks of education, because there are different intelligences distributed among the children who are born to us and whom we have a duty to take the best care of. I have no doubt about that. But every year we find that from the secondary schools, people are graduating, wrong word, people are leaving those hallways with hardly any employable skills, hardly any knowledge that people are interested in, right? And we can change it by overhauling the system. And yet we don't do it, and people don't care. Let me give you, let me move away from that and use an analogy that you might better appreciate. We have just come through a local government election, right? Haven't we? And fewer people.
We can straighten up the camera a little bit. All right, here we go.
Yeah, fewer people went out to vote this year than they did last year, right?
Correct.
And we also have a situation where over 70% of the electorate does not go out to vote. Yes? Yeah. Listen to the point I'm making.
Yeah.
So you have a situation where lots of people take what the government say, but they don't do anything about it except to withdraw from the process. There's a lot of withdrawal from the process of voting, which is really the process of the development of the country. Now, if you have a lot of people withdrawing from that process, and if you can find that a lot of them are located in the poorer areas, right? If you can find that, you begin to ask yourself, how can people develop if if they turn off from the process? How can their children develop if they turn process? You have that situation there. And therefore the question is, if you have people turning off from the development process, from the voting process, do you expect them to turn on when the time for schools, the distribution to schools comes up? Are they going to pay the kind of interest? Two, how children are distributed across the good schools as perhaps is needed. Because they don't come out to vote. They don't care what the government does, right? The government can get back into power because of the fact that a lot of people have turned off, and there is enough that will vote them back into power. But then you vote them back into power, and your children are not taken care of. I mean, what happens? I mean, what is that? What kind of society does something like that? Williams, as I just mentioned, 70% of the population, well, let's say 30% of the population went out to vote. Only that. Williams used to call, not Williams, Lloyd Best used to call the PNM a 28% party. Anybody remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Tapia, Lloyd Best from Tapia.
Yes. In other words, you having 72% of the people of the electorate of this country had withdrawn from the process, so the PNM can win regardless. Now, I am saying we have to take affirmative action. We've got to intervene in the situation where too many of our kids are not doing well, do not have the knowledge, do not have adults in the society that they can use as exemplars. We've got, really, it's a crisis for me, the kinds of education they get in the secondary school, right? Because you have to cater to the different intelligences. Yes? Now, the Minister of Education is aware of these things that I'm talking about, but there is not the motivation to intervene and develop the kinds of tracks that are necessary to put our children on a good path. Ask yourself, Diana. Ask yourself, Anselm. Ask yourself, what's the other guy's name there?
Tommy.
Ask yourself, how is it? How have your children fared, and what was responsible for their faring well? I have asked that question in my own case, but ask yourself this: how did your children, who came from poor families, how did they manage? Yeah? And the answers will be eye-opening. We must stand up for our kids. We must make sure the government, the taxes that we all pay, are used to improve the lives of our kids, are used to put them on a path that tells them that they have self-esteem, they are important. Yes, they too can learn. They too can take advantage of the opportunities in the society. Yeah, because they are not doing that, And some of them will go into crime.
Bring the camera down. Bring the camera down.
Yes. That's my fault, because
Yeah, I know. Don't worry.
I am not looking at myself as I speak.
No, I know that. We don't worry.
Yeah.
But
But
Dr. James, you brought up a very valid point there, right? Because I came out of the bowels of the beast, right? So school just started for me today, right? Today and yesterday. And when I go before my class, I give them a history of where I come from, right?
Right.
And I always tell them that, I grew up in a community that we were so poor, they dropped the OR. We were just poor, and they laugh.
You dropped the OR.
Yeah, we dropped the OR. We couldn't afford the OR. The OR was.
I tell you, you're a joker sometimes. Yeah. They're just poor.
We just poor. We couldn't.
Oh, that's hilarious. That's
Yeah,
hilarious.
the
I
OR
like
was
it.
too expensive. So we just pull, and the whole class laugh, right?
Yeah.
And I tell them about myself coming out of Schumacher Clav until, look, I am in a prestigious university talking to the class before 30-something kids. And I'm telling them about a little black guy from Schumacher Claventil, right?
Yes.
And most of the people in the class don't look like me, right? And I getting them indoctrinated to Trinidad and Tobago, right? And telling them that hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard, and your circumstances may determine who you are, but you are responsible for who you become.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, but the little kids can be responsible. I think Diana was going down that road before. The little kids are there to be protected, to be provided for.
Right.
It's the parents, but many parents are poor, and many parents are locked in a cycle of poverty from which they do not believe they can escape. You follow?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why, in Tobago. Let me just say this first.
Dr. James, you go ahead.
Tobago has lost a lot of its people to Trinidad over the years.
Yes,
correct. Tobago hasn't had the kind of opportunity Trinidad has had. And lots of us have had to leave our villages and come down to Trinidad to enjoy what Trinidadians were enjoying far better than we were able to. So you find lots of first and second and third and fourth generation Tobagonians in Trinidad taking advantage because our ethnicity makes us behave differently from black Afros in Trinidad. We don't have the same ethnicity, we don't have the same culture because of how we came up. And I am saying to you, parents, in order for their children to do well, have to send them off to Trinidad. And lots of Tobagoans have done well precisely because there has been an exodus of a lot of us to Trinidad. And beyond, by the way, it's also to UK, it's also to the United States. Yeah? But people are too poor to keep the children in the village. They feed them, they clothe them, right? They make sure they don't go hungry because in the villages, as you know, there are a lot of fruit trees, a lot of gardens, and you plant the cassava and dasheen and potato and so on. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of breadfruit. There's a lot of zabuka. You understand the point I'm making here? People had things to eat. They had things to eat. But if you wanted your children to have the best in life, you had to ship them out. Yeah? No.
Dr. James, I have a question. Do you think that the curriculum need to be revisited and subjects like taxes, cooking, insurance, social etiquette, personal finance, basic home repair, these things, survival skills, it could be incorporated in, be developed as curriculums and subjects, not to be tested on, but be mandatory, taught in school. You think that would we would see a reversal of the failure rate, or I see the failure rate go up, or more interest paid in education by the
Failure rate go
certain
down.
individual.
Well, I don't know about some of the categories you named out there, but I'm sure you're on the right path in suggesting that apart from English, mathematics, what again they have at the school level there, hygiene, general
Biology,
science,
chemistry, and all them stuff.
and so on.
Mhm.
Apart from those, they call those the academic subjects. There are other
Mm.
subjects that can be introduced into the system. And I have said before that we need a dual track system of education that is related to the interests of the children, the kinds of intelligences they come out with. I'm sure of that. Right?
Mm.
So we need to do that. But then it means that when the authorities are consulting with people like Diana and Tommy and Anselm and Winford, you need to have people down below telling the government on top, this is what we want
Correct.
and this is what we are going. It's coming from below,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And I don't know that that is done sometimes, but I do know that we hold on to the academic track, and not everybody has an orientation towards that track. Not everybody has intelligences that this track favors. The system favors a particular track in a particular kind of subject, but only the very few that perform well on that particular track. So what I'm saying here is, what about the views of people who belong to the lower classes, the poorer classes, and who understand that their children have different interests that need to be pursued, that need to be developed? And how do we get those views into the education system, into the change the curriculum that Diana wants us to introduce? You need
Why I say
experts,
that,
of course, to
Dr.
work
James?
along with the people. Don't forget that.
Mhm.
But
You know why I
but
say that?
mm,
There are certain things I have been taught by my uncle, because I was raised by my maternal uncle. Back in the day when you want to speak and you're in a group, you put your hand over your eyebrow, your index finger, and you wait until you're given the opportunity to speak. If adults are in a room speaking, because children stay and they regurgitate, they listen and they suck up everything, and then they go regurgitate things they hear, sometimes inappropriately. When adults are that's what I call social etiquette. When adults are in a room, you got to leave without anybody telling you leave. You have to disappear like Houdini. Someone calls you don't answer and what. Where I was raised, yes please, no please uncle, yes please, no please auntie. Those
what you're
things.
talking about there is social etiquette, right?
Yeah, and I
Or
believe they should be
some,
taught in the
mm,
schools,
mm.
because
Well,
if the parent doesn't know, then the child could teach the parent. No, mommy, you're supposed to wait until I have to wait until you tell me it's okay to speak.
I don't know what happens at the primary level these days, right? But I know that when I used to teach and I
Mhm.
started off at the secondary level, I know that I could not teach properly except my class was well behaved, except my class was paying attention, except my class was being respectful, for example, when I called upon students who were not necessarily to answer a question. I know that that used to go on, and I am hoping that that still goes. I think there's a lot of social etiquette going on, because I don't know how you can teach in the absence of such etiquette. It may not necessarily you're putting your hand over your eyebrow or something like that,
Like,
but it could
if that's the
it could be
extreme.
simply you wait your turn. I am the one, the teacher that is in charge here, And I want everybody to speak. I want to hear the views of everybody. But in order for the thing to work, that you have to allow people to speak
Mm-hmm.
and for yourself to speak. I know that if you're going to be a professional teacher, you've got to have those kinds of protocols. Not necessarily ones that you identified, Diana, but certainly you must have protocols that you follow in order for the children to learn and learn in a disciplined way. My kids experience that. They're big people now. You follow what I'm trying to say here? And I
And
imagine I haven't gone, as I said, into the secondary school to observe. I used to train teachers, and so I would go around and to train the teachers and go into their classrooms and to see how they led their children, how not only how what they taught them, but how they taught them and how they developed their minds or attempted to develop their minds so that they could be the best that they could, as they moved on, as they moved up in the school system, Diana.
mm,
So I have no argument against social etiquette. I don't know that it has to be formalized. I think it's part of the professionalism that teachers are trained to have. And in order for them to make sense of the interaction between themselves and the students, I think, whom they have the honor to teach. I was a guy who respected my students. Yeah, and I happen to know many of the parents as well. I did that because it just made sense to me to do so. That is before I became trained. And then when I became trained and I read the professional literature, why children fail and so on, and I read all those books, yeah. And there are other things, of course, but I am certain that it's an honor to teach other people's children.
and
It's an
social etiquette, I say, because you're teaching, you're teaching the young men on how to respond to the young ladies in society, young ladies
right.
on how to
That's
comport
part of it.
themselves
That's
to
part
to,
of it.
to older people.
But you
Because
have to be
how I
careful.
was
You have
raised,
to be
Dr.
careful,
James.
Diana, that you don't. You have to be careful that you don't impose your own sense of morality because you have it and you think it's right.
Mm,
It's got to be a holistic approach.
right, precisely.
You got to have, shall we say, positions, approaches that are worked out at the level of staff meeting and so on, and say,
Mm,
this is the way, because you could have tyranny by those who believe that their way of seeing things is the only right way. You follow? That makes teaching very complex, and it is very complex. But I'm just nudging you to see that there are these directions that one can go in.
and
I think, right, in even in teaching for me today, I tell the kids in my class is a democracy. You guys gonna make a lot of decisions, but I'm the prime minister and I can overrule some of the decisions that you make. And I think what happened is that when you engage the kids, in the learning process, it's easier to reach them than you teach from up on high that I am the teacher and you're gonna listen to me regardless of whatever I say. That's
Right.
what
What
I
is
find.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, teachers are trained differently these days. I think better, actually. I also think there are more students to teach. Lots of people did not access secondary education in my time, as you know, and in your time to answer them. But now there is mass education, but we have to make sure we do the best we can with other people's children, right? To make sure that they too have had the opportunity that those who come from the higher social classes have, and yourself as a teacher, I am sure of it. But it's more than social etiquette, of course. You got
yeah,
to teach people social survival skills,
yeah,
skills that they can take across the world and compete with other kids of their age and circumstances across the world. Yeah?
mhm.
We must be able, when we send somebody out to America and England and Asia, the countries of Asia, they must compete very well with their peers. And I'm sure that they do. The people that we export, the Tobagonians who have come down to Trinidad, right? I am sure that they compete very well with the best of the Trinidadian students with whom they go to school. I'm sure of that. Obviously, we don't export people not usually at the elementary level, but we do export them at the secondary level and at the tertiary level. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, but
So this is a big topic you guys decide to talk on, or it just happened that this is what we eventually.
No, we just kind of ventured down that road. We didn't get into politics yet. We didn't even get into the demonization of the THC in Tobago.
Ah,
it's
well,
before we go,
well, tell us, how are they
Go ahead, Tony.
demonizing them these days? Because they have been demonized for hundreds of years. You're going back.
It's
You're
all
going
part
back
of
in the
social
West.
etiquette.
No, this one is
Wait,
not ethical. This is politics. This is politics.
It's politics, correct is
This
right.
is
Politics.
politics.
Yeah.
There
But
was a
before we go on,
time when
Dr. James,
Tobago was
Dr. James, hold 1 minute
seven.
before we go on. Tommy, what did you want to say, Tommy? Just before we go on.
I wanted to say, even though it's critical and it's very important that the educators, the teachers are professional and they're well trained, it's also extremely imperative that the parents, whether they're educated or not, have a vested interest and pay special attention to their children's education and their development in order to make them the best that they can be.
Absolutely, Tommy. No queries there at all. No objection. Absolutely correct. Yes?
But
You can't
let me just,
legislate that parents have to come to see the importance of their role beyond the biology. Beyond the biology, there is the sociology of learning. Yeah.
but
My kids are folks too, Tommy. That's what you're saying.
Correct.
My kids are folks too, right?
and Dr. James, just before we close on this topic, I think too, the system has a role to play because the system keeps sending certain kids to certain schools, right? And I'll give you a quick example. Like my mother-in-law lived in Laventille, and due to her daughter being in Laventille, they were sending her to one of them regular school when she had passed for a prestigious school. But my mother-in-law was intelligent enough to go down to the Ministry of Education and tell them, I want to see my daughter score, right?
Yes.
And when she saw her daughter's score, she said, this score doesn't mean, this score doesn't correlate with the school you guys sending her to. And you know what they did?
Yeah.
They changed it and sent her to one of the prestigious schools. That happens
Right.
too.
And there are many kids whose parents did not do that.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. So that's the
So you
system.
see?
The system is fair and send the kids where they're supposed to. That would help. But the system
Yeah.
seems to be unbalanced from people coming from specific communities. You know.
Who go to church religiously, Anselm.
Yeah.
They take all the advantages to themselves and they praise God every Sunday.
Dr. James, you have such a way with words.
The word,
You're very, as Tommy said, what Tommy, you had to be impeccable with your words, Tommy.
Yeah.
You put it so
Listen,
nicely.
I am a fierce protector of the little ones. You must have formed that impression. We simply must not take advantage of children.
True.
We simply must create the best circumstances for them to thrive. Yeah.
Environment.
Yes, we have to create the environment for them to thrive. That's why we brought them here. We can't bring them here and then leave them to be like chaff before the wind, as the good book says. Although the good book was talking about the evil men. But I am saying, yeah, you have. And I came from a big family, boy. Very big. I came from a family of 13 children. All of us did well.
Wow.
All of us. And that depended in large measure on the quality of parenting. Yeah. and the conviction that everybody could do well. Yeah, everybody. So going back now to the demonization of things, this is a historical reality, lady and gentlemen. Tobago used to manage its own affairs, and then of course it became a ward of Trinidad and Tobago. It became sucked into the vortex that Trinidad has been, and to this day, Tobago does not run its own affairs. To this day, it depends on the voice across the Atlantic, the transatlantic signal. We wait for Trinidad to give us the hint. We jump on Trinidad's back. We have a dependency syndrome that we have developed historically over the years. But Trinidad is making a mess of so many things. Why would we continue to be a part of that? Now, that's an explosive issue. It's an explosive issue because we have not really discussed these issues in the glare of the public so that, people in Trinidad could contest what we are saying and we could reply using all the evidence, adducing the evidence that we can. And we are more practicing this matter than Trinidadians, I must tell you. There's no bias in what I'm saying here. Again, the facts. We are more accustomed, disagreeing what the PNM has done in Tobago than people in Trinidad. You follow? And it's time that ends, right? It's time that ends. Look at what is happening with Caribbean Airlines now. It's badly run. I mean, since I was in short pants, I experienced great difficulties getting flights to and from Trinidad. Yes, I had to wait. I had to spend nights in the airport. We can't take people who are coming on a standby and give them a flight. The story keeps changing, right? Now, I don't bother with the privations anymore because I have to survive, and my psychology is fairly strong. But what I'm saying here is that you have a situation where you are not persuaded that Tobago is properly run from Trinidad. You do know that a lot of the stuff that goes on Tobago is commandeered by the party in power, right? You know that?
Yeah, of course, of course. Mm-hmm.
They are in control of many aspects of Tobagonian life. Yeah? Mm-hmm. We have seen it happen with the licensing officer coming up to Tobago to stop people under the pretext that they are managing traffic in Tobago. I mean to say, yeah? You coming
You're putting
up and you're stopping. We
man.
have a culture. I think it's also legal. If a policeman stops you and says, "Where is your driver's permit?" and you don't have it, you're given a little time to go for it if you want to. But sometimes there's a very good reason why you forgot. And then you have these people coming up and telling you, harassing you, really harassing you, as social harassment, probably political as well. I am saying to you, I am not impressed by the way matters are run in Trinidad. And I want to be able to turn the tide here and manage my life in as many ways as possible. And my sons and my daughters must pick up the slack. I must pass the baton to people who will not go back to that time when their lives are run by Trinidadians. It's 41 seats in the parliament, folks. Tobago has 2. It cannot do anything there except, of course, be leveraged for the PNM against the UNC in Trinidad.
So, Dr. James, hold that thought right there. We're going to go for a quick station identification. It's in the village with the DAT Triplets.
Could you bring back a cup of coffee when you're coming?
You want Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts? Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts?
I have drunk Starbucks, so let's go with Dunkin' Donuts.
Okay.
You will get Nescafe.
We could send you a virtual rituals,
Yes.
And Nescafe.
And they are the franchises in Trinidad, so tell them that I'll be passing.
Okay. We'll be right back.
You're listening to WZYE 95.9 FM. You are listening to WZYE LP 95.9 FM, the most influential name in Caribbean radio in the tri-state area. Broadcasting from East Orange, New Jersey, the most influential name in Caribbean radio. WZYE 95.9 FM.
We are back with you. It's in the village with the DAT Triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM.
Dr. James.
Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. That's Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. Dr. James just left, and we're going to bring him back as soon as possible.
He went to get a coffee?
Yeah, I think he went to get a coffee. He went to
get Nescafe?
No, he went to get his rituals. I sent it for him via virtually.
I don't want to promote anybody's
Dr. James, you are back.
They have a good Nescafe, I must tell you.
Nescafe.
Yeah, I ain't gonna call the brand, the particular, what's that brand? Yes, different brands.
Okay.
Different flavors.
No free advertising.
We're saying with the demonization of Tobago, right? And in the history of Tobago, did we ever have licensing officers coming from Trinidad in order to run checks on people in Tobago?
Never happened under the PNM control House of Assembly. Never.
You sure about that, Dr. James?
Yeah, man. Yeah, it didn't come up. We would have known about it.
Okay.
I mean, I have not double checked.
Yeah.
But I could put my head on the block for that. Yeah.
And Dr. James, do you think that all these activities that are done by the central government under Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley is with a decision to make the THA look bad?
I don't know. There's a suspicion. Remember that it's politics, eh? I need facts.
You mean politics?
I don't have the facts to say that. You follow?
Mm-hmm.
I suppose some people have the facts to say that, but not me. I'm saying that it is politics, and people are suspicious because when they reason in relation to the coming of the licensing officers to Tobago, it simply does not add up. You follow? And therefore, because they know that those in authority can influence, they are influencers, can influence what the public service does, they become even more suspicious. But let me say this again. If we were in charge, that could not happen. If we were in charge of that part of the government, that could not happen. Because we know what we want. We have lived it. We know what we don't want. Yeah? It's a big issue.
Yeah, Dr. James, on that premise, right, knowing that we want and we don't want, we see that the leader of the PDP has packed up his Georgie bundle from Trinidad and has arrived back in Tobago via Cal Airline 515 back into Tobago. Right? Do you believe that that can have an impact on the election in 2025 because by the PDP and TPP and the PNM going after each other, the PDP can take votes away from the TPP and return the PNM to power?
Yes, but you are very wishful. That can happen, but you are being very wishful. Do you think that the PDP can climb out of the hole that it has?
No, I don't think so. But you know, I think that what's new is in the political cemetery. But sometimes, you know, there's a gate in the cemetery, and you never know. You know, he might be able to get over the wall.
He only has traction because he's the owner and everything of a party, political leader and owner and so on, and he has a seat in the Tobago House of Assembly. So people are dutifully going to go to him and find out what he's doing. But you must consider whether, in fact, he has any support. Obviously, we need to have the kinds of polls that developed societies do with respect to, you know, testing the mood of the country, how the country has moved on, if it has at all, since the bacchanal in the house, yeah, and in the party, yeah. But the points that you put your finger on remain true. That theoretically, theoretically, um, other parties can take over the seats in Tobago that are now held by the PNM, and therefore weaken their hand in Trinidad, where their hand keeps being weakened in Trinidad, as you know. Yeah. So the speculation is that if they lose the two seats, regardless of who wins those seats, if they lose those two seats, they're going to be in big jeopardy in Trinidad with respect to holding on to power, right? Now, who are going to be the parties that take the seats away? Well, so far it seems to me the Tobago Party, and of course Duke, because those are the ones that we have who have acquired some standing with the people.
What about
Yeah.
the idea? What about the idea, Dr. James? Don't forget the idea. Forgetting them.
Which ideas?
The idea, Denise Sawyer Fat Angus party.
But they don't have a party that have made any considerable dent. Or there are people who speak on their behalf, right?
Okay.
But remember, it's not only what you say, but what is behind you. That is why, of course, Fari and his friends knew that they had to form an alternative party to the PDP. It can't work without a party behind you. Now, Denise is a very bright lady, but she doesn't have the political outfit behind her to exercise any kind of influence with respect to the PNM losing the two seats. And I don't know what her plans will be come 2025?
Yeah.
I don't know what her plans will be. So we are anticipating here. And I didn't know that, what's his name? Duke had packed up his Georgie bundle. I thought he's had one foot in Trinidad and the other in Tobago.
No, he
Because he
packed it up. He packed it up.
Hmm?
He made a
Meaning
statement.
what? He's not
He
going
made a
back to
statement.
Trinidad?
Yeah, he made a statement that after he was defeated in the local government election,
I heard that statement.
he had a press conference saying that he's concentrating totally on Tobago now.
Oh, why? Because there's no other election to be held.
Well, I mean,
Did you consider that?
he was wrongly defeated in Trinidad, so he didn't get to
Yeah,
sleep
but
in
he
Laventille like
must
he
have
promised.
known that would happen.
Yeah, but he promised us to sleep with the people in Laventille, and he didn't sleep with them. So maybe that's why he lost. I don't know. But that's what he. That's
Yeah,
what
but well, I'm also saying there's no other election. The next election will be the House of Assembly election, and so.
In Tobago.
And
Yes.
the parliamentary election. That's a little time to go still.
Right.
So what is he going to do in Trinidad?
So you think in Tobago, Duke is a non-starter?
Those words, non-start, I don't know. He probably can start, but how far is he going to travel? How far is he going to travel?
Well, that's what I'd say about a non-starter. or let's put it this way: he might go to the political Olympics in Tobago and fall start.
Well, yeah, I suppose. But we will see how that develops. Right now, he doesn't seem to have much of a following. But he's a guy who believes in himself quite clearly. And he is going to put his hand to the plow. We want to see how whether the garden flowers nicely when he puts his hand to the plow.
Now, Dr. James, we see a lot of coalitions in Trinidad with the NTA, the UNC. We saw with PEP and the Farmers Party. Is it possible that it could be a coalition between the TPP and Denise Sawyer-Fat party? Because I don't see her aligning herself with the PDP, but what do you say?
So you're asking if I see a coalition between Denise's party and Fali's party?
Yes.
I don't know. It's they say politics is the art of the possible. Let's say that is possible, but unlikely.
I like that.
Yeah, because
Possible, but
Denise is
unlikely.
going to be further criticized. If she did that, she would be further criticized of being a political adventurer, a grasshopper perhaps. A grasshopper. She left the PNM, formed her own party, and now she realizes that her own party is insufficient, so she's joining up with Fali. Because you see, you have to have a following. PNM has succeeded over time because it has a following. The following may not be as big as the PNM has wanted, but they have a following, right? And the parties in Trinidad, the third parties as I call them, it's not one party. It's a set of third parties. The third parties don't seem to have the means of coalescing together using the word coalition. Because coalesce suggests that it's a process you go through, and in that process you stick together if you are going to coalesce, right? You're going to be sticking together. But you guys are anticipating something that probably is not ready for determination. I don't know that this society is even thinking of Denise and Mrs. Sawyer-Fat Angus in that way. Obviously they can find ways of keeping themselves alive. Duke has a place where he can keep himself alive. That is the seat in the House of Assembly. It's not simply the fact that he's a political leader and the owner of PDP, but he's the owner.
You keep putting in that word owner, Dr. James.
Yeah, that is for me the most egregious description that I heard about Mr. Duke. Are you going to be owning a party? You follow? But that's for another discussion.
Anyways, Dr. James, I'd like to take this in another direction. We recently saw that we had Tobago Day in New York City. And
recently they did what, sorry?
We had Tobago Day in New York City.
Okay.
And we saw the TPP at Medgar Evers outlining and presenting some of their very ambitious ideas for the development of.
I wasn't aware of that. And if you have those plans, could you send them to me?
I'll send you the video. I will send you the video.
The video is fine.
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
And of course, here in Trinidad, or there in Trinidad, we had the media houses analyzing what was presented. And of course, they seem to say that it's all pipe dreams and it doesn't seem to be realistic in the planning for Tobago, which is the way they would normally go. What say ye?
Well, I have to know what they say in order to comment.
Right. Yes.
I can't comment because I have no knowledge at all about that. And to speculate that it might be pipe dream is probably right. I don't know. Once the people who are making those speculations support their speculations with facts and reason and good reason, I don't know, because I did not listen to that, and that's why I told you immediately send it for me.
Yeah. Well, here is what I would say. Here is what I would say. I would say that any dreams that the TPP has, the central government will try to debunk it by any means necessary. Right. It's just like demonizing the THA in Tobago. If they go up on Mars and they want to say they're going to find man on Mars,
Mhm.
the central government will try to debunk that. So I think anything they put on the table, the central government will try to demonize it, just as they're trying to demonize them in Tobago.
Well, but you know there are risks in behaving that way.
To the government, to the central
Yeah,
government.
yeah, risk to the government. If they
Yes,
do
of
that,
course there is.
that
Yeah,
could harden people against them.
yeah.
And when people compare how they spent money over the last 20 years or so with their continuation of the demonization to which you refer, people are going to make up their mind one way or the other. You follow? But I regret that I can't have a viewpoint because I haven't seen those plans. And I want to see those plans because I'm a writer. I write about these things. You
Dr.
follow?
James, I will send it to you. But Dr. James, Akil Abdullah was on a program with Barrington Skippy Thomas.
Yes, I
And
saw that. I saw
and he
that
made,
one.
right, he made some allegation regarding Ansel Dennis.
Yes,
He made some allegation regarding Ansel Dennis.
yes.
And in my estimation, I would like to know if the TTPS are doing an investigation into those allegations that was made by Akib Abdullah with respect to the leader of the Tobago Council, Ansel Dennis. What do you say?
Yeah, I would like to know myself. I know there are one or two people who want to bring him to heel or bring Ansel Dennis to heel. Maybe they're gathering intelligence, they're gathering information, but the evidence seems to suggest that he is in some kind of trouble. Yeah? But we have, sometimes these things and the reaction comes out later because people have been working quietly behind the scenes. I don't know. But from what I saw, and I didn't see everything, Mr. Dennis seems to be in hot water, as we say. But he belongs to a party which is quite adept at taking people out of hot water, their own people out of hot water. So he might be relying on that in the
Well,
near future.
Dr. James, after listening to, even though Akil Abdullah is not considered to be a credible witness
Right.
to speak,
But the
due to
evidence is
his,
there in the WhatsApp. I'm dealing with the
that's
facts.
exactly what I was going to say. The
Yeah.
facts are there with respect to the correspondence between
Yeah.
himself and Ansel Dennis, and you
Yeah.
can't get away from the facts.
No, you can't. And
So,
then, of course, the Bible has a statement. I don't know if you guys still read your Bible, but it's one of the best pieces of literature we have in it.
absolutely.
The Bible says, money answereth to everything. Always to that effect.
Yeah.
Need I say more?
Also said money. It doesn't say something to the effect that money is the root of all evil too. Something to that
Yes,
effect.
it also says that.
Yeah. But Dr. James, Mean Gene Julian, whose mother is let me see what's his mother name. He says his mother, Beatrice Julian. Yes, Beatrice Julian. He says he's Beatrice Julian's son.
Who's saying that?
There's a fella in here from Tobago. Well, he has called himself a Tobagonian, so we just call
Okay.
him a Tobagonian, right?
I know Mrs. I know, I knew Mrs. I can't remember if she's still around, Mrs. Julian, but I know her quite well.
Right, that's his son. That's her son who's in the chat here. Right.
I think is her son too, or her brother used to go to school with me, Bishop's High. His name was Oswald, and there was another one as well. I know the Julian family from Scarborough.
Yeah. So
yeah,
this
they are a well-known family, and they are popular, and they are P&M family. I don't know if all of them are, but in the public imagination, they are P&M family. So what about?
Yeah. And most of them is P&M red. Let me don't say that.
Is what?
Let me be impeccable with my words.
Yes.
So he says, when we were talking about the police being, the licensing officers being in Tobago, he says the amount of vehicles in Tobago today doubles what it
Yes.
was years ago during the P&M regime. I don't know what he means by that. So
Yeah, I believe I haven't heard him, but I believe what they're saying is that crime is being exported from Trinidad to Tobago via the boats,
Mhm.
and so that the Tobago licensing officers, the few of them, have more work than they can manage, so that you have more cars, and crime comes up in those cars to Tobago, and so there's a need to bring personnel from the licensing office in Trinidad, find out who they are and so on, and make the relevant charges. We haven't heard any feedback with respect to their success or failure, right? We haven't heard that. So
But
maybe
Dr.
that's what
James,
Mr. Julian is talking about.
yeah, but shouldn't there be a process that if you're going to bring licensing officers, at least you can inform the THA that, you
Clearly,
know,
if you want the politics to run better than it is being run, if you want collaboration, then you have to do something like that, even though the House of Assembly may not have any control over that part of the governance structure, you follow? But they are the ones who are in charge of Tobago. I mean, if you just have to go to the Tobago House of Assembly Act, and that was the intent, that the House of Assembly is in charge of Tobago. And if you're coming on such a sensitive matter, one would think that, circumspection should dictate that you should, you know, pay a courtesy call and inform the chief secretary. Yeah, it may not be required, but it might be good politics.
But Dr. James, if there's a need for more personnel to inspect and manage the traffic in Tobago, wouldn't it be a wise solution to hire people on it or hire Tobagonians to do that?
I don't know. I mean, it's one country still. And then if you're going to hire, you have to have money to hire them. Remember that Tobago's vote, annual vote, is determined by the Minister of Finance. And if you see the need to employ, what do you call it there, more licensing officers, but you don't have the money to employ them, you can't go anywhere, because that money has already been voted to the office in Trinidad. So, what did I say earlier? Money answered everything.
Yep.
Yeah, you can't maintain officers in the absence of money. So if the Minister of Finance and representing the government were to put more money in the recurrent expenditure part of the budget, fine. But they don't get along, do they? They don't get along. And the Minister of Finance feels that the government in Trinidad is really in charge. Right? We just are
Dr.
listening to
James,
guys.
I saw recently, certain posts for certain jobs in Trinidad and Tobago. And the only location where applicants can report to physically was in Trinidad,
Right.
i.e., the custom, what do you call it, answer them, the prison officers thing. And I said to myself, why is it, a young person who may not have that, I don't know how much to go on the boat because I don't travel by the boat. But if you don't have that money to get the boat fare and our planes for to go to like Ansem has suggested, why can't they do it online and then you pick your thing and you have, two locations, Tobago and Trinidad, where people can why people have to go to Trinidad to apply for a job in Trinidad and
Well,
Tobago?
this is some of the noise that Tobagonians make, and I said we are more exercised in these matters. Because remember, the House of Assembly doesn't have any control over those matters that we are talking about. But at the same time, it's an inconvenience. If you don't have the facilities in Tobago, right, and you are talking, well, it could be done online. If you don't have the facilities in Tobago, people are going to complain. Why I have to go down? Why I have to spend all this money? You follow what I'm saying? And that is part of the journey towards autonomy for which we are being demonized because Trinidadians, some of them do not understand conveniences involved and entailed in being run from Trinidad. And there are many little areas like that that multiply when you begin to examine the framework of governance in the two islands. So yes, there are people who are going to complain, but House of Assembly does not handle that matter. And but in the way Trinidad and Tobago runs itself, in the way that happens, Tobagonians are accustomed being inconvenient in the process of government. And we want all of those things to change.
Yeah, they
There's no
should have
law
to.
that says that these things have to go on like that. There's no law that
Mhm,
requires it.
mhm.
It is not better governance by having us dependent on Trinidad for matters such as that. And of course, we could sit down and talk about the matters that we should leave for an overall government, and the matters we should leave for Trinidad, and the matters that we should leave for Tobago. There's nothing that says, it's not written in stone, that has been going on like this and it is better to keep it that way. Nothing like that, right? So
Mhm.
there are lots of Pelagonians who reject out hand, reject out of hand, sorry, those kinds of pressures, that have been
And
placed on the body politic.
would you say, Dr. James, that the attempts, note I said the word attempts, the attempts to demonize the THA is because the current leader of the THA is perceived as a viable threat by the central government?
Viable threat to what?
To them maintaining power structure in the general election.
But Diana, I think I wanted to add that I would add to that the demonization by the central government is because of those 2 seats in Tobago,
Mm.
which they see as significantly important to them staying in power. I would add that to your statement. What do you say there?
Well, I don't know. It's speculation. It may be. I don't know what's going on in Dr. Rowley's mind. Maybe. I don't know. There are other people who pose a threat as well, but who are not as highlighted as those, as Mr. Augustine. He's not a one-man show, although it comes across that way. So I'm just saying, yeah, that is possible. I don't know if it's factual just yet.
Wait, Dr. James. But wait. If this is me here now. If I was to look at the things that have been happening over the last year and look back when the PNM was in power in Tobago,
yes,
and almost 0% of these same type of activities have happened, to me, it looked like trying to paint the THA in a certain light so the voters can say, oh, they're not doing this and they're not doing that with regard to those 2 seats in 2025.
Remember that the new party in Tobago, Augustine and company, have resisted the ways in which Tobago was being governed. Remember that?
Yes.
Although when PNM was in charge, they did not resist, except they talked quietly behind closed doors. Yeah? They were, shall we say, as meek as mice. They went along with what Trinidad wanted to see happen. They did not resist. They did not have a consciousness that says, this is not the way it ought to be. They, what's the word? They agreed with the so they were part of it. And so when a new government comes into power and says, no, we don't want this to happen in the way that it has gone on.
Yeah, here we go.
Yes. When a new government says that, then of course PNM says, but that's wrong. It's wrong. You know why it's wrong? Because PNM says so. PNM is the most, shall we say, entitled, self-righteous political outfit this country has ever seen.
Why do you say that?
Why? I
Yeah.
just gave you some, before I made the conclusion, I gave you
Okay.
some facts.
All right. There we go.
I
Okay.
gave you the facts. I mean, I could give you plenty more, but I'm just saying, I gave you the facts to suggest that PNM, when they were in power, of course, did not seem to have a mind of their own. They followed what they were told to do, and they did not find fault with the way Tobago was being run.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Now that you have fellas are saying, but that's not the way, I can't be going to Trinidad for this. This should be done in Tobago. You can have a little clerk approving things to the company. You can't have people in the public service at low levels inviting the chief secretary to meetings in Tobago about Tobagonian affairs. I can give you 1,000 things, answer. And I'm saying, PNM is saying, well, we are right. We are the ones in charge. We are the ones with all the experience. Nobody has more experience than we. And yet, what they do has brought so much discomfort to the island. Right? So they are self-righteous. There's no doubt in my mind, and there's no doubt in the minds of many people about the self-righteousness of the PNM. Yeah? And that's part of the politics. In fact, I I am not making up a new idea or making a new charge here at all. That's been around. That idea has been around. And the question is, how how does the PNM win back favor with the people when it has been as self-righteous as it has been over the PNM years? Yeah.
Especially the last 8 years.
Well, yes. And the reason for that, quite frankly, is that the time period is shorter, so our memory is a little bit more vivid than it would be in previous years. You know what I mean? We remember because we are a forgetful people, with respect to the abuses of power. We forget. Until somebody resurrects the memory and makes it a political issue.
Dr. James, I don't understand, right? I don't understand how prior to this local government election, the PNM people were talking about local government reform, local government reform, local government reform. Now that the election is over, you don't hear nothing about what they are going to put in place with respect to local government reform. Are the councillors going to
You
be
did
full
not
time?
hear before either, even though they claim otherwise. Lots of things in the act, because I read the act, Act 11 of 2022. Lots of things that nobody knows about. You follow?
Yeah.
So that is not surprising, but that there's a politics that they will have to engage the UNC with, and other people in civil society in Tobago, if not in Trinidad. This is how do you put in place what you say in the act? The act has been passed, it has
Yes.
been proclaimed, right? So it's law. How do you implement the changes that you have agreed to and passed in both houses of parliament? So obviously, civil society has to get involved. But I'm just saying,
And Dr.
I
James,
have written 2 articles, more than 2, by the way, but my
Mm.
last 2 articles speak to these ideas. I don't know if you read a guy called Dr. Winford James in the Sunday Guardian.
Of course. Are you the same guy?
I am that guy.
Oh, wow.
I am that guy. I believe I'm unique in that regard. I also believe that if you want ideas for your programs, you can perhaps read that guy
Yeah, but we read that guy all the time.
and get ideas.
Okay, all right, definitely. We have to definitely implement some of that guy's ideas. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I try to do the research that I can. You follow? I'm deadly serious here.
No, I'm be serious too.
Yeah, I am. I do the research and I do the analysis. I try.
But let me ask you a question. As we're talking about research and analysis, we see in the public space that a UNC person, Marshall Walker, is calling for Kamala Prasad to step down. I
Right.
mean, I have long time ago believed that, under the RPNM, that, it's time for Dr. Rowley to actually step down as well and hand over the baton to some other person.
Right.
So the numbers in the local government election where the PNM received 20% less votes and the UNC received 15% less votes tells me that, I mean, there was less people went out to vote, but it tells me that these two political leaders' times have passed, and it's time for the people of those two parties to start to call for them to nicely, exit through the front door. What do you say?
Well, that's you. You think so. But remember the decision, not lots of people don't think that way. Not only that, but the decision to resign depends on the person being called upon to decide, to resign. There is no law that forces them, except of course you find there's a massive rebellion on the part of the party. That is not going to happen. If it does happen, we should all rejoice, but it's hardly going to happen. People are not going to rebel against Dr. Rowley's refusal to step down or Mrs. Kamala Prasad stepping down. People are not going to be rebellious against that because the political leader is the person who is right here. We follow him. They say, you tell us what you want and we will follow. I have that on my laptop. And I have it in respect of both parties. You follow? You tell us we are your leaders and we will follow. But since it depends on the person that you are calling upon to resign, it's not going to happen because it depends on their own sentiments in this matter, and they don't think that they are wrong. And there's of course the lure of power. Don't forget that, which we can discuss tonight. But the lure of power among men and women is very strong.
Yeah, correct is right. Yeah.
Mhm.
So Dr. James, what do you see if you had to give the TPP a recommendation over the next 6 months, right? You have to give them some recommendation because they had a great launch recently, but they have to keep themselves, in the public space. What, as a political analyst, what kind of recommendation would you give to the TPP?
Okay, and this does not mean that it's not happening, but if they allow themselves, I don't know if they have already done so, but if they allow themselves to be separated from the people, to be separated from the ideas and the desires of the people, they are going to die very horribly. They are not going to make it. They cannot cut themselves off. There is an umbilical cord between the 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 uh, the mother, which is the people, and the baby, which is the party. And if that cord is not properly cut, that it's cut in such a way that it keeps the health of the baby intact, they're going to be in a lot of trouble. So my advice is, if you have not been doing so, stay connected with the people. That's where your life is.
No, it's somewhat difficult, or may not, to separate having stuff with it under the THA and having stuff under the TPP. Being that it's the TPP empowers indirectly. So how can they able to separate when they're gonna have meetings to say this is a TPP meeting as opposed to a THA meeting?
I don't follow that, but
Okay.
and
So 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 you are recommending this to them, right? To stay in
yeah,
contact with the people,
yes,
right? So when they're gonna stay in contact with the people and say we're gonna have a meeting in Roxborough, right? Is that a meeting under the TPP or would that be a meeting as THA members?
you are behaving as if people are going to make a distinction between the party and the government.
Okay, all right.
People are not going to make that distinction.
Okay.
They haven't done it. The persons who personify
Hmm.
the nexus between the party and the government, the party that personifies as the PNM. You don't know sometimes whether it's the party talking
It's
or the
true.
government.
No, you're right. You're right. That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. Exactly.
And
Exactly.
we must talk about that another time because we
Yeah.
have there's bundles of information that suggest
Hmm.
that the lines have been blurred for a long
Correct.
time.
Correct. Correct.
Right. So when the TPP goes to Roxborough
Hmm.
and is talking, but they are still in government, are people going to disconnect them from the government? I don't think so. If only because it's difficult to make that separation. You follow?
Mm-hmm.
In a democracy such as that's what happened.
Talking about that. Dr. James, oh, we can't hear him. No, no audio.
No, no, go ahead. Oh,
No audio.
Yeah, he's
okay.
talking, but his audio, we're not hearing him.
Yeah. You not hear any audio?
No audio.
Hold on. Let me see something. We're not getting any audio from you. No audio.
His mic is muted. Look on it on the screen.
Mic muted. Unmute your mic.
Unmute your mic. Unmute your mic.
Okay. Yeah.
Unmute your mic.
He can't hear
On your,
you.
on your screen, your mic is muted.
Press your microphone on your screen.
That
Oh,
is
there
not
we go.
Here we go. Your
Now
mic was
you're-
muted. All right.
wow. So who
Yeah.
did that?
I don't know.
Yeah, them.
Yeah.
The PNM sent a boogeyman.
The PNM and Pegasus and the PNM did that.
Somebody does not want to hear me speak.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know,
I
anytime,
have been speaking. I have been speaking all my adult life. How
You-
can they stop me now?
anytime certain people come into the village, sometimes all of a sudden something just happen, It just happens.
Yeah, they do it all the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
It just happens.
Dr. James,
Yes, sir.
I want to take you in another direction. We've had a situation going on in the United States that's sending a message to the world as far as U.S. democracy is concerned with a past president. How do you think that would affect, or could it have any effect on a place like Trinidad?
Well, we always, as a people, look to America for guidance, for we copy systems and protocols from America, even though we are such a small country. We look to America for guidance, I would say. And some of us align ourselves in our thinking to the Democrats, who are supposed to be the leftists and the progressives and so on, and the Republicans, who are supposed to be the conservatives and who are supposed to, who are regarded by others, I can't say the Republicans themselves, as a party that is plundering and is on the verge of collapse. Yeah, and it is so because there is an individual that is much larger, at least in the perception, than the party. Yeah. So if I understand your question, sometimes we find an alignment between PNM people and the Democrats, and
Correct.
sometimes you get
Correct.
a sense that there's the alignment is between the PNM and the Republicans. But a lot of people around the world, not Trinidad and Tobago now, around the world, do not want Trump to return because they think that some of the realities that they have put in place, some of the systems they have put in place, will be disregarded, will be left to die, and therefore will not be good for the progress of the peoples of the world. In a word, then, if Donald Trump manages to stay on the ballot, the rest of the world would not be pleased, and it could spell trouble. I can't. People are going to reject him when voting time comes. Although I suspect that lots of people, including Republicans, are not going to vote for him. But that might be wishful thinking. But I have a sense that he is going to be rejected out of hand. I have a sense of that. But I know that the peoples of the world do not want Donald Trump to ever be in power in America or anywhere else at all and ruin some of what they think is the progress that they have made over time. I don't know, Tommy, if I answered your question.
I just needed to hear what your opinion was, and I'm good with it. And I
Right.
thank you.
Sorry?
I have a question, Dr. James, and also a comment. I was reading and following a fellow here. I can't get his name called, but he says that a lawyer, a constitutional lawyer, says that the 14th Amendment bars
Yeah.
Donald Trump from reapplying for holding
Actually,
office again.
two of them. It's two of them, not one guy. It's two lawyers that wrote that opinion. Yeah.
And also, I wanted to.
And I think momentum is building to get people to actually challenge it in the Supreme Court. Momentum seems to be building here.
And he appointed.
I also want
that they can if you have a 2/3 majority of both houses, they can kill that amendment. But one doubts that will happen.
I also wanted to ask you. I also wanted to ask you, with the all the murmur and thing surrounding the BRICS, the unit, those people coming together, those countries to form a currency. People are stating that would topple the U.S. dollar, move it from its strength in the world. And if Venezuela comes on board with it, well, for Trinidad and the Caribbean, what do you say?
Well, I suppose it's possible, but I don't see it happening just yet because behind the scenes, there are not bilateral talks, but there are talks with individual countries that could suggest that things could happen that we did not expect to see happen. I don't know how far advanced getting a new currency is between countries like Brazil, Russia, China, India. The last one, the F stands for what? South Africa. I don't know how far advanced they are, but America has had a monopoly, right? Over the finances of the world. You know that.
Yep.
But wouldn't that make it difficult for countries like
roughshod over the economies of the world? Telling you.
But wouldn't that make it difficult for countries like Trinidad to get the BRICS if that does happen?
Yes, but Trinidad will just simply have to wait and pick a side when that happens. Yes. They have to pick a side eventually.
Get out of pick a side.
And
One
it would
doesn't
make
know.
the mhm.
You pick the side that you think is going to give you the most benefit. And of course,
And it
there's
would
going to
make
be some bad mindedness. America is increasingly coming across as being quite bad minded. You listen to some of the Republicans talk more than the Democrats. And Nikki, what's her name?
Haley.
Haley, for example, very bad minded person.
You know what? You know, sometimes it's looked upon as an act of war when you attack a currency, and it may trigger military response.
But wouldn't that make the
It makes
US dollar?
Trinidad what? It makes
Go ahead,
Trinidad
Tom.
what?
No, I'm saying that sometimes when you in the attacking of the U.S. currency, it can be interpreted as an act of aggression,
Yes.
and it
Yes.
may.
And that interpretation comes from them and them only. They are the ones who have a monopoly on the interpretation. In other words, your voice doesn't count. Let me ask you guys a question. There's a politician in the House, in the Senate, I think, MTG, what's her name? Margaret Taylor Greene.
Oh God.
Right.
People around the world know about Marjorie. They don't know about Winford James. They know about Marjorie. And Marjorie doesn't have the least bit of sense in her head. And yet, people around the world know her, but they don't know me.
I'll tell you something.
Oh no.
I find that such an irony, boy. It's an irony. Every time that lady opens her mouth, you wonder why you should be listening to her, reading her. And very often I don't, eh? Very often I don't. But sometimes the headline is such that I wonder, what is she saying now? I'm just saying America has that way, imposing non-entities on the world. America, not the whole, both parties, imposing non-entities on the world. And it's a kind of a tyranny that we have to listen and we have to read such nonsense.
Well, we
Sorry that I have been as, what's the word, forthright
but
as
Dr.
I have
James,
been there.
yeah, and we're gonna close with this. I mean, many of us never thought Donald Trump could have become president of the United States of America.
This is
Right.
true.
Right.
And
Luckily for us,
70 million people voted for him.
yes.
Yep.
And luckily for us, he's smarter than MTG.
And also many thought that Barack Obama would never become the president either.
Right.
Yeah.
But for different reasons.
Different reasons. Here we go.
Absolutely.
Everybody knew that that man was brilliant, even the Republicans.
They
Yep.
did.
Everybody. Nobody cried down his intelligence at all.
Yep.
It was his blackness, is whether America would prove itself great again, because America is a great country, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
On a number of fronts. Everybody wondered, would America vote in as president a black man? Twice!
2 times.
It's not only once, you know. And to this day, he's well respected. Not the other
Yep.
guy.
Yeah, and that guy 45, that
Yeah,
bothers him.
not number 45.
That bothers him big time.
Dr. James,
IQ 45.
maybe one day we might be able to say that about Dr. Rowley.
What might we be able to say? Sorry.
And he was the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago.
May I say something to you guys?
I'm just trying to prompt you,
I
Dr.
won't
James.
answer what Ansem is choking me there, man. But let me say this.
Or let leave my Prime Minister alone.
That Dr. Rowley and I were classmates, not classmates, schoolmates, not classmates. He was a year higher than I. And he's always been a brilliant guy. Except that when it comes to the politics of Tobago, he's nowhere there.
Yeah, he's very
I'm
astute.
afraid I have to say, he has never pushed a Tobagonian agenda. He has never. He took the local government reform. He took it personally in hand and said things about it in the early days. Never heard him do that with Tobago.
And Dr. James, I remember Sir Ticker Williams had said something when he had a chance to vote for something for Tobago. After he made his presentation, he was opposition leader. He picked up
Yes,
his baggage and had everyone from the PNM walk out of the parliament.
that's correct. She's right.
Yeah, I didn't even know that. That was news that she brought.
Yeah.
So
So I'm just saying. But don't get tied up with this. This is a man who has a good intellect. Yeah. Let's give Jack his jacket and Jim.
No, you have to. He's a two-term prime minister going for a third term. But Dr. James,
that's another story.
Right. Dr. James, I think we want to say thank you so very much for joining us here tonight. It's always a pleasure to have you in the village. Any closing words before you go?
Well, one of these days, when I get to America, a country which I am finding out I don't love as much as I used to because of Donald Trump.
Give me a call, man.
One of those days, I will drop by the studio.
Listen to this. Call me. I'll come get you at the airport. I wouldn't send the Sprinter.
Once I am in New York, because sometimes I go to Miami when I used to travel, of course. But if I do end up in New York,
yes,
that's where you guys are, right?
I'm in New Jersey. Don't worry about that. You won't be far from me. You won't be far from me.
But it's far from me. I'm in Connecticut.
So I will personally.
No, I have been to Connecticut. And where is Stormy located?
New Jersey.
Right. I think I have been to New Jersey.
Tommy's in New Jersey as well.
Right. And that's where you are, Anselm. I will be sure to look you up.
Yes, I'm in New Jersey. I'm about 10 minutes from Tommy.
I have a number on my phone for you in my WhatsApp. I suppose that's the number you have.
Absolutely. Again, Dr. James, we want to thank you so very much.
The one that you use, isn't it a WhatsApp number?
Yep.
Yeah, that's a WhatsApp number.
Right. So I should be able to get you there.
Absolutely. And as soon as I see the last name James, I'm going to answer it immediately.
Yeah, I have brothers, Brothers who are mightier than I. My brothers who are mightier than I. You don't know these guys, right?
When I was last in Tobago, I thought I saw him at a Roxborough festival. I said hello. I said, he must be a brother.
Which one? He was as tall as I?
He looks just like you.
Because that would be Tony. And then you have Trevor, the assemblyman.
Anselm dropped out.
You must know Trevor, right?
They kicked Anselm out. Tommy, they kick him out. Anselm, you're muted or he's out?
He fell off. He
has to come back in.
Oh. All right. Well, may I say good night, folks?
Yeah, we want to thank you very much for taking the time out to coming into the village and joining us and dispensing knowledge, power, and etiquette.
We appreciate it every single time.
Yes. Yeah.
You're very kind.
Somehow I just got kicked out. Somehow. I don't know.
And I'm sure you speak on Anselm's behalf when you say these things.
Yeah, I'm back. Somehow I just got kicked out.
Well, they have been saying nice
things. He gets bill on time, so they're giving him intermittent service.
So Dr. James, it's always a pleasure. And Dr. James, before you go, just so you know, I know your brother Trevor. I know your brother Max. Oh, there we go again. It's just acted up. Okay, Dr. James, thank you so very kindly. We appreciate you joining us tonight.
Okay.
All right.
We'll talk again, I'm sure.
Good night.
Okay, good night.
Good night. Good evening. Good night. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Pay a bill on time, man, Slim.
There's all kind of thing going on with this thing, you know. Yeah. So folks in the chat, put closing comments in the chat. I talking about you don't like America because of Donald Trump. Whoa, so you must love the KKK. I don't know. I don't know how you talking about.
Who in the right mind go love the KKK?
Nessie say what number is Dr. Chaos? Dr. Chaos.
A good
Nessie
question.
say, when the US sneeze, Trinidad get the cold.
Every time.
Yeah, the Jamaican judge will ruin it for Jamaicans when Republicans come in power. These are Republican, boy. You don't support non-starters, boy. You're supporting the PEP leader. You know, we go play it next time. We have a video to show with the PEP leader. I guess this person was part of PEP and he made a video. But let's go for a quick station identification. Folks, put closing comments in the chat. We'll be right back after this. Stick and stay. It's in the village with the DAT Triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM. It's Dinah, Ansem, Tommy, and you in the village. Stick and stay.
You're listening to WZYE 95.9 FM. You are listening to WZYE LP 95.9 FM, the most influential name in Caribbean radio in the tri-state area. Broadcasting from East Orange, New Jersey, the most influential name in Caribbean radio, WZYE 95.9 FM.
It's in the village of the DAT Triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM. We come to every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. That's Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday for 7 to 10 p.m. Eileen said, did I say I support the Republicans? America had a lifetime of issues, but blame it all on Trump. Brainwashing it a number of you all bad boy. Eileen, Eileen, boy, let me tell you, I think that those 4 years under 45 was the worst 4 years of my life in the United States of America. I could say that. I was scared too bad, boy. They might have sent me back, pick me up and send me back to Trinidad. Even
didn't feel safe at all.
Didn't feel safe at all, boy. People was going on bus. ICE was getting on bus, train. Oh, man.
Going on jobs.
It was horrible. It was horrible.
Yeah.
What Eileen says, what I feel Caribbean people leave the Caribbean ignorant and come a foreigner to change to ignorant.
What?
I don't understand why this.
What do you mean? What? Leave the Caribbean ignorant?
Yeah. I don't
Who
know.
was ignorant when they left the Caribbean? Certainly not I, Hailey.
You telling me don't tell lies. But I telling you, he's saying George Bush was worse. George Bush was worse. I never live in America. I will take weapons of mass destruction any day. Well, it depends on which Bush it was, right?
Baby Bush.
Yeah, which Bush? Is that Bush Jr. or Bush Sr.? Right?
And you know what I notice a sentiment is, amongst certain individuals, because for years you were hearing, oh, America's gonna fall and they're gonna fall. And they're referring to people like ourselves who are living here. We gonna come back to the Caribbean with like dogs with our tongues hanging out. And I'm like, that really? So what it is they're really hoping for? Because like Tommy, and I'm going to be brief and then go, the BRICS thing, right?
Yes.
If the BRICS dollar is too high for people to trade with, what do you think they're going to trade with?
Greenbacks.
Back to the US dollar, right?
Well, I would tend to think one thing for sure. The US are going to know when they're in a competitive mode, they have to compete and they have to win.
Yeah. So, and who says that UK and Canada and all them won't come together and form one currency. Yeah.
Yeah. Mean Gene says a splendiferous interview tonight. Nessie says 45 was brave enough to do and say what the GOP want to say, but afraid to. Yep, that's true.
Yep. Yeah, that his agenda was dormant for years. Dormant.
Yep. Build the wall, boy. We go build the wall.
Mm-hmm.
Build the wall. What happened to that wall now?
And you see they got on the reverse affirmative action, and they're trying to wake up Jim Crow,
You know, I know
Hailey believe in building the wall too, you know. I can tell you. Yeah, people like Hailey. Build
But
the
give
wall.
him the contract to build the wall then.
Hailey get the contract?
But I say, right, if back in the day, when they arrive on the Mayflower and the Sunflower and the Hibiscus and whatever the name of the boats were, right? And the Indians that they met here had said, hey, no, we don't want you here. Don't come here. What would happen? If they had the fortitude to, hey, don't come here. Go back where you come from. So I don't know why everybody would do, don't come here and dropping things in the middle of the ocean, creating borders in the middle of the river, the Rio Grande, the Texas governor. What's that solving?
I say, Anselm, you like to tell lies. If you allow people to make more withdrawals than deposits in your life, you'll be out of balance and in the negative. Know when to close the account. From where I sit, this is it. The clock on the wall. So that's all I like to say, but I've got to go. Remember, hard work beats talent, and talent does not work hard. And for every 60 seconds, you lose 1 minute of happiness. See you. Same WZYE time, same WZYE channel. Go ahead, Tommy.
I like to start by saying the stars are the eyes of heaven. The stars are the eyes of heaven. Like I always say, you have to become the change that you want to see. You, the man in the mirror. However, if you're looking at mirror and you don't like what you see, you cannot blame the mirror. Do not look down on a person unless you're giving them a hand up. Like I always say, be safe out there. I love you all. We'll see you next session.
All right. I told people in the chat to put closing comments. I didn't see any closing comments. Diana, hold on 1 minute. Where, Diana?
Brief and concise. Local general election done. What have you won? Look around and tell me, what have you won? Good night, people. Next time.
Okay, there we go. All right, folks. So we're going to go out tonight with Karina Shea.
We're going to go out with a Denise Plummer.
Denise Plummer.
Yeah, man.
Condolences to Plummer's family.
Plummer, man.
Okay, let me look for that.
Not leaving.
While you look, we'll see that she was a great contributor to Trinidad's culture.
Mm-hmm.
And sure she would be missed on many fronts.
Yep.
Yeah, of course.
R.I.P. Denise.
Yeah.
Return if possible.
I like that one.
Not leaving.
Hold on, We're gonna.
Even though Dr. James said they had to leave Tobago to get a better life.
We had to leave Trinidad and Tobago.
Yep. Some of our parents didn't know how to stand up and fight.
Interesting.
They didn't choose to.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of our parents had to do the same too.
Yeah, because
they
thought they were fighting a losing battle if they stood up.
But it turned out good for a lot of us. So here we go, folks.
They say my country so stressful, so tense. With race, hate, young jailbait, too much violence. You'll pack up and go, leave sweet Trinidad go. I tell them no way. No way. How the people small-minded, my cautious and loud, but for ball and scandal, they boastful and proud. Yet somehow I see all this foolery as window dressing. There's still a blessing. You see, I just see Tuckery Q, these rice and cascadu, you crab and callaloo, and never just give me, not leave it, not leave it. Me never spring so deep and freedom no country. Where else in the world you know sweet man and calypso? People just overflow 2 days in the street. Not leaving, not leaving. It's here where conceive me, it's here I go dead. I see a people creative who must overcome. Make magic from old steel, from rusty oil drum. So why should I fear? Some tears here and there, I tell them no way. No way. Camaraderie so special like natural instinct. They meet you by the river, it's come take a drink. Outspoken but kind, no silent bad mind, so forget New York. I know the old talk. You see, I just string some babash too, punching rum and mountain dew. A hot plate, a kill out to me, Macone, just give me, not leave it, not leave it. Me never swing so deep and freedom don't come cheap. Where else in the world you know, jump high and wind down low. If you don't get on so they watch you see me, I'm not leaving, not leaving. It's here where conceive me, it's here I go dead. Put your hand in the air. The aroma rockers fade. The savannah where children play. The sorrel, the mobby bar. The corn soup, the bacon char. The oval cigar bat. The pecan, the tit-for-tat. The ritual of carnival. The soca chutney bacchanal. I wake up one morning and before I stretch, it's Friday by doubles, me nostril don't catch. And therefore my view, an ocean so blue, I'm going nowhere. Nowhere. Hummingbirds and blackbirds that sing in the trees, chaponia and spices that waft in the breeze. While we by the drop of beauty and laughing for its praising, it's so amazing. You see, I just watch a football match between me and Yankee clash. So much goal with pussy lash, my head still dizzy. Not leaving, not leaving. Me never string so deep and freedom no country. Where else in the world you know milk and the honey flow? They gangsters bend down low and dance in a train. Not leaving, not leaving. It's here where conceive me, it's here I go dead.